Mic check. Good morning, happy Tuesday to each and every one of you, wherever you are, however you may be listening. Thanks for making us part of your day. It's a beautiful Tuesday. We got a lot to talk about, and we'll jump right into it. It's not navy blue. We're cream colored. It's Allen shag carpet on the dome today. Did anybody get that? Anybody get the Allen shag carpet on the dome? I know I didn't see it, but appreciate you guys being here. Some exciting news to announce, and we'll announce it later. We are also now on Spotify. So if you want to watch the replays and you don't have YouTube Premium, we now are going to be on Spotify. So you can keep the app, or you don't have to keep the app open to watch the replays. So that's pretty cool. And even better news, I did it on my own. I set up the whole thing. I didn't break it and do anything. None of that happened. Is TikTok working? For some reason? No? Oh, that's YouTube. Sorry, I thought I was getting TikTok messages there for a second. Should we go with tan-ish? Yeah, tan-ish is good. Anyways, we set up the Spotify. The episode should be available about an hour to 2 hours after we start. After we finish each day. So you can catch them there. Let me jump in the VC with Jen here real quick. Get rid of my gum. Did I get in there? There we go. All right, I'm in there. Good morning, Jen. Nice to see you. I did. Jen fixed it though, probably. Then I gave Jen access, and then Jen did a whole lot of things, and so I probably did fuck some things up that Jen has fixed. What's happening?
I mean, he's at the account and all that kind of stuff, so it's. He did do that part. He's accurate.
Grade it out of 10.
Of you setting up the account?
Yeah, how'd I do? 1 through 10. What was my grade?
A solid 7.
Jesus, that's so much higher than I thought you were going to give me. Did that hurt to give me a 7?
It did. I was trying to level it down a little further. But I mean, you set it up. I mean, it was. Gold star for you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I know that wasn't easy for you to say, so I appreciate it. I turned up your volume too. People couldn't hear you.
I'm using. I'll switch over to my phone at some point. I'm using the computer right now for this, so.
No, it was good. I had your volume down.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Do you want to talk about any of your feelings while you're here?
No, absolutely not.
Not at all?
No, we don't do that here. You know better than that.
All right. Thanks, Jen. Appreciate it. All right, just a reminder, we are crowdfunded, and that's Jen. So if you're new here, Jen's username is that JenDub1 on Venmo, and that's also her username on Discord. So if you're interested in coming up here and having a discussion and you disagree with something that I say, you just message Jen on Discord, and she'll get you on up here. And Jen also runs everything here, so don't make Jen mad if you're new. That's just like kind of one of the rules. And it's really to protect you more than anything. That's the last person on earth that you want upset at you. So don't be an idiot, and don't have Jen be upset at you. That's the best piece of advice I can give you while you're here. Look, I watched this video, and I want you to be honest. I have to preface this because this is AI generated. But if this was not AI generated, I want to know how long it would take before you knew that this video was not real. It took, I didn't count the seconds, but it took me longer than I would have liked to believe to figure out this wasn't real.
The worst group of people we've got in our country, and it's not even close. I think we'd all be better off with them gone. But as I was saying, my administration and I have been taking careful note of the work of Colossal Labs, the biotech company that resurrected the dire wolf. If they can bring back wolves, they can bring back dinosaurs. Terrible lizard. That's what dinosaur means if you break it down. But picture this, folks. Velociraptor, mounted Border Patrol agents. They'll rip your head clear off. Pterodactyls patrolling the skies, velociraptors on the ground. To prevent the immigration apocalypse we may have to counter with a dino-apocalypse, folks. It's true. They're the absolute worst group.
I'm just saying, it's not immediately. It takes a while for you to realize that what's happening there is not Donald Trump. And I think for me, it was when he started correctly naming dinosaurs. That's when it was. I was like, there's no way that this idiot knows the names of dinosaurs. And a dire wolf, he didn't know. He would have said some like mythological wolf. That's probably too big of a word. Make believe wolf is what he would have said. But yeah, it's AI. It's so good. AI is tough. In fact, I was looking at the comments here. Whoever posted this was obviously being funny, and then like Grok asked if the video was AI generated, or they asked Grok if it was AI generated. It says it, and then the author said like I can't tell whether it's authentic or not. There we go. I had an interesting thing with Grok. Somebody tried to one of our Jubilee clips was going around, and somebody like said, "Hey Grok, how can I find this video?" And Grok's response was like, "Search Elon Musk and Juby Dooby and CFPB." That's what Grok told him. I don't know if Grok AI is as good as they claim it was. This is just a good reminder to always remember that Republicans' logic is not actually their logic. What Republicans have is a belief system, and then they have justifications for their belief system. But you'll never find like a free thinker, like somebody who started with nothing and then was just like, I'm gonna come up, like I have a principled system now. You wouldn't find them aligned with Republicans. This is an old clip of Jon Oliver when he was, I believe at the time he was trying to join the Jonas Brothers, and it fell apart, so he didn't. This is him interviewing, what was this guy's name? I forgot. I don't remember. I think it says some congressman on gun reform.
You hold up this sign whenever I make a suggestion that you think is infringing upon your Second Amendment rights, okay?
Okay.
Assault weapons ban. Boom, there it is. Increased background checks. Really?
Yes.
Just for background checks?
We don't do background checks for the First Amendment.
Okay, so let's just try this one.
Okay.
Nice and easy.
Sure.
Swoop's good.
A mandatory 1 hour waiting period if you buy a gun.
Why a mandatory?
Are you kidding me?
Unless I could see a reason. No. I can't think of anything that I support. Because at the end of the day, none of it works.
If it could, due to that time that it did.
Okay, when was that?
Australia.
I guess if we're going to go to Planet X and say it's not the United States, it's some other planet, different people, different everything. I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah. That guy's he's in elected office. Elected office. Yeah, if we go to a different planet like Australia, sure, I guess if we live in a different world.
But in the real world with human beings, it's not going to work, and gun control.
Sorry to our Australian friends if any of you are here today. Nobody knew that you were human beings. We were unaware of that. Sorry about that.
It stopped one thing. That could also be a statistical anomaly.
Yeah, it was just their mass shootings disappeared.
But there were so few of them. Whoop-de-doo.
Whoop-de-doo. Suicide with guns went down. Suicide with guns also went down. 0 mass shootings.
Put it this way. It's illegal to have crack cocaine anywhere in the United States. Do you think if somebody really wants it, they can get their hands on crack cocaine in America?
So unless we can completely get rid of drugs, there's no point in having drug laws at all.
Let me think about that for a minute.
It's never really about the principle. It's always like they develop a principle to defend their views. They just like guns. They think for some reason it's critical to having freedom. We're far from the most free country in the world. We're one of the only ones that like it has this amount of weapons, and it is silly. I understand. I think people have like an emotional attachment to their Second Amendment, but this idea that the Second Amendment really is even like that important is kind of wild. It really is like a little bit wild. Like having access to more weapons leads to higher crime, which means that you need weapons to protect yourself against higher crime. Every other country who has scaled back specifically firearms has less crime, but it's probably not the fact that we have access to a lot of weapons. It's probably not the problem. It's probably something else. But I did like the deep breath when he compared it to drug laws. And the guy just goes, The man, the legend, get him on here. Pickles walked you. What? I don't know. Pickles? I like pickles. I don't think me and Pickles. You must be talking about somebody else. Oh, that's the man, the legend. You know, this is edited satire, right? Yeah, I know it's edited satire. The man, the legend. Jesus Christ.
You know, Jon Oliver's show is a comedy, right? And you know they edit it to make people laugh, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I did. I did know that. Thank you. God damn, you must be like a fucking riot at parties.
You know the things that you know the stuff in the Jurassic Park. This isn't real, right? You know there wasn't really a theme park that had dinosaurs, right?
Yeah, we know. Thank you.
Yeah, right. Like there's really blue people where the ground lights up when you walk on it. I don't think this is true. I don't think Avatar's real.
Oh, okay. Admir tonight? Yeah, we have Admir tonight. I don't know if I even finished that announcement earlier, but we are crowdfunded up in the top left corner. That's our gift goal every day. If you could help us wipe that out before the end of the show, that helps a great deal, and it keeps Jen from quitting. FOD said, look out for Alex Karp and his evil-ass hair. Yeah, always watch out for Alex Karp and mostly his evil-ass hair. You can't have that hair and not be evil. I think that's pretty normal. Like if you have hair like that, there's a good chance you're evil. I think everybody kind of agrees with that. Tex says, glad you connected with Sarah. Debate moderator. Shit, I forgot about that. I didn't even tell Jen about that. I don't have a debate lined up yet. There's a platform called, I've watched it. It's wild. I don't know why she reached out to me, if we're being honest. There's a TikTok user named Sarah. She runs a YouTube channel called, here it is. Let me pull it up here. It's called The Raging Tomato. And they just host debates, and they are like the who's who of the worst people on the right debate on this platform. Andrew Wilson, who's horrific, just Pearly Things, who's horrific. But I'm actually going to be not debating any of those horrific people. I'm going to be debating somebody that I respect. If you know from the Jubilee well, let me just find it. I'll show you who, I guess what brought this up. I'm going to be debating somebody from the Jubilee episode. It's his name is Steven. He's a nice guy. Let's see. Let me see if I can find it. Which one he is. He's the guy in the blue sweater. He's the one that didn't look like Temu Wolverine. Didn't look like he pulled his shirt out of his pocket and wasn't a woman. That's the guy it was. If you want to like narrow it down, he's the guy that looked like he's a CPA. I can't remember what he does for work. He might like legitimately be a CPA. But I'm going to be having a debate with him. We don't have a time or a topic yet, so we'll get to that at some point. I have no idea when we're going to do it, but that'll be on that channel. Red shirt man. I did see my friend text me yesterday, and he said Red shirt man was in the comments a lot on the Jubilee video, and I went and checked him out. He's if any of you don't know, like, don't answer this if you actually know the answer. But remember that time when he's like, I played at the White House. I'm a musician. I played at the White House 4 times. Again, if you know this answer, please don't put it in the comments because I want you to guess. But he is a good musician and a world champion musician. I just want you guys to guess what instrument he plays in the chat. Go ahead. I wonder if I can find it. If anybody remembers his username, it's like C something. Banjo, cello, no. Spoons is good. A flautist, no. Viola, French horn, skin flute, probably. Who doesn't play the skin flute? It's Tuesday, you might as well. Clarinet, the TL single, trombone, kazoo, skin flute, kazoo. We're still not there. Harp, no. Piccolo, no. Flute, no. Tin whistle, cello, triangle, dulcimer. What the fuck is a dulcimer? Harmonica, or guess a bagpipe. Close on the bagpipe. We're closer on the bagpipe. French horn, violin, flute, triangle, kazoo, jazz flute, mandolin, flute, recorder, flute, trombone. Nobody's got it yet. Accordion. The answer, Bree got it. The answer is accordion. He plays the motherfucking accordion, and he's a world champion accordion player. And he was on, was it Conan? I want to say he was maybe on Conan. Let's see if I can find this. I don't know how you win the world championship in accordion. Yep, here he is. Check this out. Here's TED Talks. Did he give a TED Talk? Hold up. Hold the phone.
You know, this is what a whole TED talk on that. It's quite interesting on that. But yes, the very shortened version of that, since people are like, are you going to play? Okay, we'll do a little bit here. This is what, of course, you're more used to.
Red might be his color. That might be like part of his costume. I didn't know.
You know. You know, this is what
he's actually
we're
really
used
good
to for accordion. Or so you all know that one. Okay, very good. But it's a good audience. But of course, I am more known to do stuff. You can do stuff like that.
Honestly, he's pretty good. I'm not even listen. As a debater, maybe not my favorite. As a musician, as a performer, what do we got here? Don't tell me white people don't have culture. I don't want to hear it from you. Don't ever tell us we don't have culture, please.
Thanks for the sub.
Ooh, with the sniffs. Yeah, it's our culture. Shut up. We have flames. We decorate our shit in flames. we play the fucking accordion. Dad, if you were in an elevator to that accordion, you'd be hyped. You'd be excited about being in an. You'd be like, you know what? Usually I don't like elevator music, but this has me feeling good. Jay doing the Trump dance. Trump dance is also white culture, so just stop it. Stop it. Tell us we don't have culture. We do. It's just not very cool. All right, this was cool. I think this is an old one. I think I've seen this before, but in honor of Pride Month, and this was a TikTok cop. Like everything about this showing up on my timeline, I was like, I'm gonna fucking hate this. I got a obvious, like, he might be wearing overalls. I think he's wearing overalls with a flag hat. What it says, beat the voice.com. Be the voice. Jesus. Is it B? I think it says beat the voice. That doesn't sound good. And then a cop. And the cop has like a Batman signal here. I'm like, there's no shot that it's backwards. Don't get mad at me. I'm reading it backwards. I can read. It's backwards. It says beat. I swear it says beat the voice. Somebody look it up. Beat the voice. I'll look it up. Beatthevoice.com. Thevoice.com. That's not good. All right, it's probably B, but I swear to God, it says beat. There's B-E. Bear? Maybe bear? I don't know. Anyways, I was sure I was going to hate this. I didn't hate it.
Opinion on trans people. Wow, I've only been asked this question 100,000 times at least. Well, how about this? I'm going to turn it around. I wonder what trans people's opinion of me is. Because, you see, I choose to wear overalls and work boots and a ball cap. And I choose to go hunting, and I choose to go fishing, and I choose to live my life the way I want to live it. I wonder if that affects trans people's lives in the least. The answer to that is no, it doesn't. Well, guess what? If Jack wants to call himself Jill and wants to wear a dress and wants to live his life the way he wants to live it and wants to think of himself as herself, that doesn't affect me in the fucking least. I don't give two shits. I don't care. So let trans people live their lives, and I'm going to live my life. And other people go live their lives. You know, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And if you want to change your name from Sarah to Sam, or you want to change your name from Sam to Sarah, that's what makes you happy. You have a constitutional right to do so. That's my opinion. Hope y'all have a good day now.
Such a happy end. The thing that I appreciated about that video is like, did he accidentally misgender people? Yeah, but nobody fucking cares. And this is the thing that I wish I could get like the red pillars to understand, is that nobody fucking cares if you misgender somebody on accident. Nobody cares. Just say sorry. Just be like, my bad. My bad. It's hard. Look at me. Listen to my voice. Look at how I'm dressed. I did not grow up in a place where this was normal, so I'm going to fuck it up. I fuck it up all the time. All you have to do is just say sorry. But there's like, you have all these red pillars just like so afraid of learning something new, and that if they fuck it up, people are going to be mad. Nobody cares. Honest to God, nobody cares as long as you aren't trying to legislate against them, and as long as you're not harassing them. Nobody cares what race, what religion you are. Nobody cares if you think that what they believe is good or bad, as long as what you're doing doesn't affect them, doesn't take away their rights. Just like I wish my wish for Pride is that everybody this Pride, if you don't like it, shut the fuck up. That's all you have to do is just shut the fuck up. You can be quiet. You can just go do something else. The internet exists, outside exists, mountains exist. You can go anywhere else. You can literally do anything else, but instead you choose to be outraged by it. I just wish for Pride that the people who want to celebrate Pride can go have their Pride celebration, and anybody who's upset about it, just be quiet. Nobody cares. Nobody cares about your opinion on this shit. It's not that hard. Is it hard though? Is it? I had a 6'2" man with a wig and gym membership snap on me for calling him dude. It's ma'am. Yeah, say sorry. Josh, say sorry. My bad. Sorry. Some people are assholes, by the way. The LGBTQ community is not void of assholes either. Some people just wake up in a shitty fucking mood every day, and they're going to yell at you no matter what. Just say sorry and move on. It's not that hard. Be an adult. If somebody's grumpy, just say, okay, and you can just move on with your life. You don't have to let other people's emotions affect you. And specifically, you don't need to take somebody else's emotions and apply it to a group as a whole. Just shut up. Just walk away. It's not very hard. I don't think I've ever been to I'm pretty sure I've never been to like a Pride celebration. I've never been invited. Don't care, but it didn't affect me. I wasn't super happy for them. I wasn't super happy for me. They just had a day and I had a day, and both of us lived that day, and nobody was hurt by the other person's decisions. Just like a hint of empathy, or just like a hint of like, I'm not going to fight with everybody today about some dumb shit. Now I go into this Circle K it's down the street from me, once or twice a month. I used to go a lot more when I was driving more, but I don't drive that often anymore. And every time I go in there, there's this guy that doesn't talk. He works at the register and he doesn't talk. He just looks at you, or he'll just say like, okay, yes, no small talk. He's my kind of guy, by the way. But he makes a lot of other people mad, and I'll consistently hear people like walking out like, what the fuck's that guy's problem for? He just did nothing. He just didn't like help your feelings get a boost. We are a real soft people, and I think that there's nothing softer than a conservative, which reminds me, I actually have that. I was thinking about that when we went. There's, where is it? I think I've said it before. Where is it? We have an ad for that. It's always good for me to drop the ad late.
Yo.
Like nobody's a soft. It's playing an ad, Jen. Ladies, you know what I'm talking about. Those conservative men are.
We've got
That's why every time you go to a conservative podcast, it's hold on. And now to our sponsor, Blue Chew. Your dick can work again. You don't have to scream at women when your dick doesn't work. This'll fix it. It's for you. All right. Sorry, Jen, you couldn't hear the ad playing. What'd you say?
We have someone in the chat.
MAGA,
come on and talk.
MAGA the Gathering.
MAGA. Yeah, we should send you. Hold on, send you something. So before we bring on the guest, I just want to remind everybody that we are crowdfunded. That top left-hand corner is our gift goal. We need this is our job, as much as people may disagree. We do this each day, Monday through Friday, from 9:30 to 1 Pacific Standard Time. So if you guys could help us do some damage to that gift goal, we would greatly appreciate it. And if you haven't already subscribed on YouTube, please do so. Regular subscription, we also have 4 different memberships, and you can use your Amazon Prime sub to subscribe to us on Twitch. And also, if you guys could like the stream, the little red heart in the corner, that would be awesome. So, but he's there.
Is this Eric?
Nice and cute.
Isn't that Eric's profile picture? Is this just Eric? He figured out a way to get on Discord?
I don't know if it's Eric or not.
All
I don't
right,
know.
well.
Eric's got all kinds of Trump pictures. I don't know.
Okay, I'll jump over there. MAGA the Gathering, welcome.
Hello.
Hey.
Hey, how's it going?
Good, man. How are you?
I'm well, and yourself?
Really good. What's on your mind?
Oh, first off, I was just watching the stream and I noticed you laughed at the name. I mean, all things aside, it's a pretty funny
That's
name.
clever.
Isn't it?
Yeah, I liked that one. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was good.
It was because like Magic the Gathering, I was sitting here like I was playing with my Slytherin deck one day. I don't know if you played Magic or not,
Did you
but I
say
was playing with my Slytherin deck.
Slytherin?
Yeah.
Like
yeah, my Slytherin. Like in
like
Magic the
Harry Potter?
Gathering? No. Oh, Sliver. Oh, I'm sorry, not Slytherin. Oh my gosh.
Oh.
Sliver deck. I'm sorry.
Sliver deck.
Sliver deck.
Oh, okay. All right. I don't know anything about
and
it.
I was this is like way back in like 90s era Magic the Gathering. But anyway, yeah, that's where it comes from, those Magic the Gathering.
Yeah, I figured. I got that.
I saw
part.
you laughed at it, so it's pretty good. It's pretty good.
Yeah.
But anyways, so I was just calling in. I wanted to debate and I'm always willing to concede things that I dislike about Trump.
Sure.
And he certainly has his flaws. But one of the things I'd like to know, just in good faith, is there anything that he's done either this term or last term so far that you kind of like that he did?
I know I'm trying to remember what it was. It was a couple weeks ago. There was an executive order he signed that I liked. I can't remember exactly what it was, to be honest.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'll be honest. I don't pay much attention to him in this term more than I did last term. I'm kind of burnt out totally on politics sometimes. I mean, he let us down last time, but go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I just think fundamentally, like, and I know this sounds, I'm not trying to be hyperbolic here, but like fundamentally, I just think he's an idiot, and I think that he's one of the dumbest humans to ever occupy office, and people keep listening to him, and it baffles me.
Well, I think once I read a study that said like all billionaires are narcissists or something like that.
I don't know, but he's
like you have to have that like thing in your brain to make you be able to become a billionaire. The drive.
Yeah.
Know?
Why would
but
you?
I do agree with you.
Why would you want
Why
would you want a narcissist running the country?
Well, he's just a billionaire.
You just said he was a narcissist.
To be honest with you, like why I would want him running it is because he is getting this country back on the right track with getting us back to Christianity.
Oh, Jesus
America
Christ.
is a Christian nation.
What makes us a Christian nation? Out of curiosity.
Well, what makes you think we're not a Christian nation?
Because it doesn't say we're a Christian nation in any of our founding documents.
Well, would you agree that the Supreme Court is the arbiter of law and stuff? Like
they interpret the laws.
They interpret it. Yeah. And then they say this is the way it is, right? Could you bring up a case law that the Supreme Court put out in 1892 called Church of Holy Trinity v. United States?
Sure.
And you could bring up the Wikipedia page. The Wikipedia page is actually a good enough source. Now, I don't really recommend Wikipedia, and I'm sure your chat will say, "Oh, it's Wikipedia." But for this matter, it's fine because they are quoting the judge in the matter.
Okay. So the act of February 1880 was to prohibit the importation and migration of foreigners and aliens under contract or agreement to perform labor in the United States, its territories, and the District of Columbia. Okay.
This is actually one argument I don't understand why you guys don't use against Republicans, to be honest with you, too, because I would use it if I were you guys. This was basically saying This church wanted to hire some people to come over and work for them, and you can read one of the highlights. It says Christian Nation. You can read in there, or I'll read it. Don't matter. But basically, this church was trying to hire some people to come over and work. These were Christians that they were trying to hire, and the government basically said, "No, you can't hire them. They're not citizens. Get them out of here." Blah blah blah. And this church said, "Hey, wait a minute, bro. We're Christians. These are Christians. We're a Christian nation. We're going to hire these people." And it went all the way to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court agreed and ruled that we are a Christian nation. And if you want to read right there, or I can read it, it doesn't matter. You can see what it says.
Yeah, that's just his opinion.
Well, right, but you know how
that's not what the
opinion.
Wait, hold on.
No, well, hold on.
Quick. No,
you're right,
hold on,
you're right.
Real quick. This court case was not about whether or not America is a Christian nation. It was whether or not that a pastor could be considered a foreign laborer. So the fact that he says these and many other matters which might be noticed add a volume of unofficial declarations to the mass of organic utterances that this is a Christian nation. He's not even making a declaration that it is a Christian nation. He's saying this adds a volume of unofficial declarations to the mass of organic utterances that this is a Christian nation. That's it. But that's not a Supreme Court decision. That's not law. That's just a guy saying his opinion.
So when the Supreme Court or any court says you're guilty, not guilty, or whatever, the judge always offers something else other than the not guilty and guilty. The Supreme Court, when they
but that's not what he's not ruling on that though.
But people go off of that, bro.
No,
they don't just go off of can you do this thing 6 to 7. That's what the ruling was. But they issue something to say this is why it's justified.
I understand.
Right?
I understand
They sided with the church in this case. Okay.
What? Hold on. They sided. What did they side with the church on? What was the decision about?
That they could hire a foreigner because he's Christian and this is a Christian nation, and we shouldn't restrict Christians coming here and working.
That's not. I don't think that's what the ruling is. I don't think that. Where are you getting that out of the ruling?
Read it. Read the whole thing. Read the whole ruling, bro. The whole thing was because
I'm just reading where.
Church.
Excuse me. Listen.
Go ahead.
If you're honest about like having a good faith discussion, you can't make a claim and then when I ask you what you mean, tell me to read the fucking thing that I didn't read before you showed up.
Well, it's right there in front of you.
I just read it. So which part do you want me to read that says that if you are a Christian, we are a Christian nation, so you can come here? What if that's the truth, then why are all of these countries where we're getting immigration from right now that are south of the border, those are mostly Christians? Why aren't they just let in? If that's the law, shouldn't they just be let in?
If they're Christians, yes.
Well, they are.
Who's Christians?
Most of the immigrants that come from Central and South America.
Most or all?
Most.
I wouldn't agree with you there.
I don't care. You don't think that they're far more religious than we are? Mexico specifically is a more religious country than we are.
Yeah, I don't have any issues with Mexico.
So why can't they just come in? They're Christians. If this is the law, if that's what they ruled, then shouldn't just any Christian be able to walk across our border and be here?
Are you arguing that this is case law and that they have a right to do that?
No, you're arguing that.
That's why I said it. That's why I said at the beginning. I don't know why you guys don't use this against Republicans.
So if it is case law, then why isn't that the law? Why can't Christians just show up and say I'm a Christian?
Well, because folks like you,
or maybe it's not
a Christian nation.
So maybe it's not case law.
It is case law. You can look. You can look down here, okay, where it says legislative intent, right? And it gives example who has used this in legal cases before. You can scroll down and look at it.
United States Steelworkers v. Weber, in which the Supreme Court held that the prohibitions against racial discrimination in Title VII of the Civil Rights Act did not bar all affirmative action programs by private employers. Okay, so that has nothing to do with.
It's showing, though, where it's been referenced in other legislation. So this is case law that has been referenced.
Wait, but not the part that you're referencing. I don't know if you understand how an opinion works.
Yeah, I do know how an opinion works.
Everything in the opinion is not case law, right?
And
calm
when
down.
they
Sir,
say,
calm down.
when somebody references that,
sir,
go ahead. Jeez, I thought this was going to be equal.
You are incredibly disrespectful to come on somebody else's program and just talk over them the whole time. You just did it. I have an entire show planned. I'm happy to have a discussion. What I'm not going to do is yell over you all the time.
Okay.
These are not.
I apologize.
The thing that you're claiming is case law. You have shown no evidence that it's case law. You're saying that was his opinion, and his.
What do you think Church of Holy Trinity?
See how that was like? See how that was the middle of my sentence one more time there?
Well, you made a statement. I'm responding.
I didn't ask you a question yet, did I? I was just about to ask you a question.
Okay, I'm sorry. Let me know when I can speak.
Yeah, I will. When people ask you a question, then it's your turn. This is how conversations work, sir. So
I thought this was a debate.
This is a conversation. Sorry.
Okay. Sorry.
So the thing that you read, the quote that you had me read, all that says is that generally Americans think like they generally make that statement that we're a Christian nation. It's not a ruling on whether or not we are a Christian nation. He was citing the American public, and that generally at the time it was accepted that we were a Christian nation. That was the general feeling of the public. But he wasn't codifying that. He wasn't codifying. In fact, he can't codify that. Congress would have to codify that. If you're going to change you think the judge can change the law?
Didn't we just say the judge interprets the law?
Yes, and I said change. And I just said change.
But we're not talking about changing the law. We're talking about interpreting the law.
He didn't interpret a law about whether or not the
bro.
He didn't interpret.
Are
you doing it again? Jesus.
Oh my gosh.
Fucking
okay,
Christ,
let me know
man.
Let me know when I can talk, sir.
Yeah, when I'm not talking is a good time for you to talk, sir.
I thought it was my turn. I'm sorry.
I was responding to you.
I haven't said anything in like 2 minutes. You've been just giving a diatribe, bro.
Go ahead, sir.
No, I was waiting for you. Is it my turn?
Yeah, it's your turn. Go ahead, bud.
All right. So I'd like to, could we read what the judge stated in this case?
Please.
So I'll highlight one spot for you.
Yeah.
It says, for this plain reason that the case assumes that we are a Christian people and the morality of the country is deeply engrafted upon Christianity and not upon the doctrines or worship of those imposters.
Is morality part of our law?
I certainly hope so. I certainly hope that when we banned rape, it's for moral purposes.
Why
and
does
not
it matter?
Subjective.
Why does it matter if it's
I hope
moral?
it's not subjective. I hope it's not subjective because then
sir?
you could make the argument. Well, because bro, you say the dumbest shit.
Calm the fuck
You say
down.
just the dumbest
You're
of stuff, and then you
hysterical.
go, "Calm down."
Yeah.
Calm down.
Yeah. There we go.
Are we good? Are we good?
Yeah,
so can you respond to that then?
I don't know what respond to what.
So I have case law. Would you like any other evidence that
That's
we are
not
a
case
Christian
law.
nation?
That's not case law. You're talking about morality. The government doesn't determine morality.
Dude, are you serious?
What places does the government determine morality?
Where are our laws based off of?
Votes usually.
Where do we get our rights from?
The Constitution.
From a piece of paper? Is that where we get our rights from?
Well, the Constitution.
The
Constitution formed a government, and the government it has to adhere by the rules in the Constitution.
So what does the Constitution say? Where does the Constitution say we get our rights from?
I think God.
Man, that's
Which God?
I was not expecting that answer.
Which God?
Well, if I as a Christian wrote
which God? Excuse me. If you're gonna talk to me, answer the question I asked, please. Which God?
The Christian one. The Christian.
Where does it say
Where
does it say the Christian God? No, you cannot. Where does it say the Christian God?
Oh, okay. Well, if I can't explain, then why would you even ask me a question?
Because I'm still asking you other questions.
No, because you don't want me to explain it.
No, I want to know which God. I want you to know.
When Muslims wrote the Constitution back in 1776, when Muslims wrote it, they meant to Allah. Because when Muslims write documents,
Bro,
they're talking about Allah, right? Yeah, it's a joke.
Oh, wait, which God?
I'm saying when Christians write a document, do you think they're talking about Allah? Do you think they're talking about Islam?
Not everybody.
Or do you think they're talking about the flying purple sock in the sky?
Not everybody was.
Who do you think? think Christians are talking about when they say God? Please.
Not everybody.
Please explain
Not
to me.
everybody was a Christian. Bro.
Everybody was a Christian.
Everybody was a Christian? God, dude.
The Americas. Have you ever heard of the Mayflower Compact? Have you ever heard of the Mayflower Compact?
Yeah, but which founding fathers were not Christians?
Mayflower Compact, real quick. What's the Mayflower Compact?
No, thank you. Which founding fathers were not Christians?
So you don't even know what that is.
Which founding fathers were not Christians?
You knew what it was. You said you knew what it was.
What are we doing? We're playing definitions? I want to know which. I want to know.
Name one that wasn't. Name one that wasn't.
Sure.
It's harder to name one that wasn't than it is to name one that is.
How about Jefferson, Benjamin Franklin, Thomas Paine?
3 out of how many?
I don't know. How many founding fathers were there?
And did they all sign the same document that said we get our inalienable rights from God?
Yeah, whichever God you worship.
Yeah, they did. Yeah,
whichever God, whichever one.
Whatever God you choose. Yeah. Ben Franklin, when he signed it, he was talking about the rubber monkey god that
why are you screaming right now?
Down in the Middle East.
Why are you screaming?
Yeah, that's what he was talking about.
Why are you screaming right now? You fucking psycho.
And Thomas Jefferson. Thomas Jefferson. He meant the snake god that's in the Pacific Ocean that eats little boys that don't listen to their parents.
You're a weird guy, man.
That's who. Well, that's what you believe.
No, I didn't believe anything. I didn't believe anything about some god. Shut the fuck up! Shut up!
Ben Franklin.
Jesus Christ, man! Jesus Christ! Shut up, dude. You are hysterical.
Can you hear this? I'm loving this. So anyway, what's your rebuttal to this case law?
I think
you know what case law is.
I think you're a fucking psycho, and you have no clue what you're talking about. That's my rebuttal. First of all, you just started talking about.
That's not an argument. That's not an argument.
It's not.
We're just going to ad hominem attack now. So.
Well, yeah, because this is you're hysterical, sir.
Oh, because you don't have an argument.
I just gave you my argument of who were not Christians, and you started talking about some snake
Supreme Court.
Shut up
when Christian nation, bro.
Be quiet.
You can say that all you want, bro. What is your rebuttal?
Listen,
you don't even know. You don't even know what the Mayflower Compact is. You don't even know the basics of the history of America.
Listen, bud. This is your last chance to stop screaming over me every time I talk.
You're screaming at me, retard.
I'm not. All right. Have a good day.
You are.
Have a good day.
Oh yeah.
He's fucking psycho. Jesus Christ. Why do they have so much comment or so much confidence coming up here? That is crazy. Check bro's hard drive. All right, we'll move on.
That was calm and relaxing.
I've never heard that. I've never heard that argument before. That was crazy.
Well, from the sounds of it, he's been making his rounds. So
there's no love like Christian love, right? There's those. That's exactly like Jesus. We're fucking Christian nation. It's all right.
All right, we got. Make sure you read comments, and if you guys are enjoying the show, please help us knock out that gift goal.
It's Tanya said this is scary because use the white Christian nationalist propaganda and is working on this guy. Brian said Trump is getting us back to a Christian nation by cutting Medicaid and SNAP benefits just as Jesus would have wanted. Yeah, just exactly how Jesus would have wanted. Let me check comments real quick. Oh, Tex is the one I guess that reached out and set up that podcast appearance. That's great. Thanks, Tex. Did I miss anything there? I think we're good. Jen, did you send me any that I missed?
Did you
call me a dickhole earlier?
Yeah,
I didn't see that. That's not nice.
Yes.
Just saw that message.
Yeah, Johnny Longtrot said, remind guests to never show this video to anyone.
Didn't go up. All right. Like Jen said, we are crowdfund, so I'll update that gift goal in a minute. Let me get going here. But if everybody joined the dollar train now, there's more than enough people to knock that out.
Well, now he's in my DMs. So
sorry.
That's fun.
That might be one you want to block. Let him know. Let him know he can come back when he can learn how to communicate like a human being.
Yeah, no. So it's why you gotta hang up, bro. You were yelling at me and calling me names.
Yeah.
So, but there you go.
All right. Thanks, Jen. I just like this. I like Lawrence O'Donnell sometimes. I haven't made it through Jake Tapper's book yet. I'm partially through it. I got to tell you, like, as far as a book of nothing, like this is a complete nothing burger. The stuff he has, the stuff that so far I've seen that he's claimed that like was hiding, like that these people were hiding Joe Biden. It was legitimately just like people around him who were like, maybe we should limit the amount of appearances he has. That's basically the whole story. That's the whole conflict here. Is that some people were like, you know what? When he gets tired, he's not very good. So we should probably limit the amount of time he's on TV. And I feel like, I don't know, like, call me crazy, but there's like a weird line there. Call me crazy, but it seems like we already knew that. I feel like I knew that when Biden was president. I feel like they said it. I remember arguing this with Republicans. There was something during the administration where he wasn't doing interviews after, I don't remember, it was like 5, 6, 7, or 8 p.m., whatever it was. There was like a cutoff of when he wasn't going to do interviews anymore. And people were like, yeah, see, he can't hang. And it's like, yeah, he's pretty good up until that point. And then he's got to get cut off. And I guess Republicans could argue he wasn't good up until that point. But I thought he was fine up until that point. That's the whole book. Like, I don't get what Jake Tapper's doing right now. Somebody said his book sold 54,000 copies. It's not worth it. And like, even I would be honest with you, like Republicans, if you read this book thinking you're going to find like some big explosive story, it's not in there. And I think that's why when Tapper kept going from podcast to podcast, it was so generic and he wasn't sharing any parts of the book. It's because there's not a lot in there. Joe Biden was old. Joe Biden, when he got tired, didn't communicate very well. And that could have been the whole book. Just page 1. Joe Biden is old, and when he gets tired, he doesn't communicate well. And so people around him didn't want him to go out and speak to the press when he was tired. Thanks for reading my book. I love you. Stay cute and cool. Jake Tapper. That could have been the whole book. But here's Lawrence O'Donnell throwing a little shade at him now. Not by name, but of course we know who he's talking about.
Hey, Donald Trump is the only...
Weston, when I say nothing burger, I mean like everything in Jake Tapper's book, you guys have already been saying you guys have been saying this shit. I mean, it's a nothing burger that like he's saying just stuff that you guys said during the presidency. I don't even think these were like leaks. They were stories, they were leaks at the time, but they were all reported on. Everything in his book that I've read so far is just stuff we already knew. So if it might be a big deal to you guys, and I know that you think that like there was this big cover up, and you're allowed to think that. We probably disagree, but as far as just reporting goes, there's nothing new that I have come across in that book yet. Not one thing that was new. We just differ on whether or not it's a big deal. But save yourself some time. Figure out a way to pirate it or something. I don't know, but it's not worth. I had to pay like $14 on Audible for it. And it's nowhere near one of the best political books I've read.
Needless to say, Donald Trump is the only president in history who can publicly embrace and accept and believe such insanity without immediately provoking a rush of questions by the White House press corps and news organizations around the world about the sanity of the American president, which means that the insanity of the current American president is now officially taken for granted in the news media. No huge banners on the cable news network that recently devoted itself to the issue of presidential mental acuity. That network did not dare devote itself to the mental acuity of Donald Trump. That network decided that the mental acuity of Joe Biden last year is a more important story now. Needless to say, Donald Trump is the only president in history who can publicly embrace and accept and believe such insanity without immediately provoking...
There we go. All right, we're all the way through. Sorry, I didn't realize that had looped back. I liked it. I do think it's fair. Like, I think one of the hardest part... I was thinking about this earlier this morning, in that... I think that the difficult part in choosing like how to debate MAGA and coexisting with MAGA is that, one, they don't actually have principles. What are the principles of MAGA? It's not smaller government because government gets bigger. They don't say shit. It's not the rule of law because they break the law. It's not fiscal responsibility. Fuck, it's not even like fixing our border system. MAGA is just literally doing whatever Trump does becomes the law. If he does it, it's great. And if he does something and you criticize it, or if you offer a way that's better than what he's doing to accomplish the same goal, that's not okay either, because Donald Trump knows what he's doing, and so we should just shut up. But the other thing is that they never cared about any of this stuff with Joe Biden. They don't care about mental acuity. When Donald Trump says insane things, they don't care. They don't hold that same principle. And I think one of the difficult parts, one of the main reasons I don't spend a lot of time on TikTok anymore is because you're arguing with people who do not fucking care. What they're trying to do, the argument is basically like, let's all name a bunch of things, and whoever names the most things means their party's right. I think all of you are playing a game of MAGA good, Dems bad, and we're just trying to decide like who's good and who's bad, not what policies make sense, not which politicians actually align with the things that we ask them to do, not which politicians understand what's best for the country, or not which politicians set their own priorities aside for the good of the country. It's just like red versus blue. We're going to argue red versus blue all the time. And that's why like I find it pointless to talk to most MAGA about Joe Biden. Because if I can be honest, can they? No. If we're serious about mental acuity, if we're serious about like making sure that we don't hire old crazy people, then we can talk about Joe Biden, but we also have to talk about the oldest president ever. The oldest guy ever to be elected is in office right now, and he routinely says crazy things. So it's just impossible to have this discussion with you guys if you're not willing to have it both ways. Like I'm open to Joe Biden had gaffes. Joe Biden, there were times when clearly he wasn't the Joe Biden of old. However much you think his mind had degraded, there was certainly evidence of that. I say it's the exact same with Trump. These cognitive tests that he keeps bragging about, like acing. You only take those tests if you're showing signs of dementia. So, like, he's showing signs, obviously, and those tests make it like determine whether or not like you're entering stages of dementia or not. But there are precursors to all that, and old age is just one of them. Like, I'll be 40 next year. I don't think I'm as sharp as I was. There's too much information in there. It's just running around banging into each other. It's hard to process sometimes. But I'm just tired of having conversations with people who aren't actually interested in what's best, not interested in actually having a fair conversation, just interested in like I don't know if it's like finger pointing. I get real tired of those type of MAGAs. And I also am apparently tired of people who think our country's a Christian nation. Frankie said sounded like a typical Christian. They give each other a bad name. It's also why a lot of people are not Christian. Amy Lynn says, I want to see the Epstein files, but I bet that's not a nothing burger. Yeah, we're not going to see those. And Beth said, last caller is pathetic. Great job on Jubilee, Jay. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. I enjoyed it. I hope they call me to come to do another one. Okay, I think I got all those. And Melissa said, Dollar Train, since we're in a yelling mood. Thank you very much. Let me update this number. Silence is deafening to me. I hate that. All right. I want to show this video. This was from, I don't remember which Twitter user this was. I just think everybody should have to see this shit. I think everybody that talks about immigration and supports this administration, I think anytime we have the opportunity, we need to show them this shit. And the people that are here mostly, because like a generic Republican's not going to be here. So keep in mind when we show this video and we see like the vitriol and the hatred and the disgusting comments, keep in mind that the people who are here, who aren't on the left side of the aisle, are here because like they just want to fight. And they mostly don't like me. But I hope when you get a chance to talk to any of your Republican friends that you find ways to show them the cruelty of these people of ICE specifically and of this administration, and the way that they just rip people from their families without an ounce of care.
Mis hijas esperándolos en la casa. 6 niñas tengo que dependen de nosotros.
None of you would have an anxiety attack if you got ripped from your family for a misdemeanor? Like you get a jaywalking ticket, and then out of nowhere, like you're jaywalking, walking down the street, and then a group of masked, unnamed police officers grab you and throw you in the back of a van, rip you from your family. You wouldn't freak out. You wouldn't freak out about that. You guys would raise hell. Like if you get pulled over, you guys raise hell. You hate the government interfering in your lives, but you love it when it's this, when people are accused of a misdemeanor, and you just no due process, rip them away from their family and deport them. This part got quiet.
No vengan porque se los van a llevar a todos.
These are people that are going to their court dates. They're going in to have asylum claims, or they're going in to apply for a visa. They're going to their court dates. Some of them, literally their visa expired. They go to their court date to apply for asylum, and they just get hauled out. It's fucking sick. Like, it's honestly so sick. And I hope I hope that we screenshot the comments. Go ahead. Screenshot the type of people who are in here talking about this way about other human beings. And just send it to your friends. Ask your friends to defend it. I think that was one of the most effective things my cousin, who kind of started me questioning my own political beliefs. That was one of the most effective things she did, is she would put things in front of my face that I had to kind of confront. And because I had said I was willing to have a conversation, I had to sit there and I had to watch videos. And I learned a lot of awful things about the way that we had treated, specifically at the time, like gay people in this country. Stuff I had never been taught in school, stuff nobody had ever told me. And that's hard. If you have any heart at all, you're watching this and you're saying, like, at the very least, you have sympathy, empathy. You can understand what it might be like to have your family ripped away from you. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, Democrats had a humane immigration reform bill. Remember, Taco had that bill before the election. I like that we're calling Trump Taco. He doesn't. Is ICE just wannabe cop gravy seals? Yeah, just a bunch of white nationalists that just want to deport immigrants. Why would you want to work for? Honestly, why would you ever, if you're going into law enforcement, why would you want to work for ICE? You're just, especially this ICE. What are you doing today? I rounded up 15 mothers, and I'm sending these dangerous mothers back to where they immigrated from, and I left their family here. I just ripped a mother from the arms of her children. It was a great day, honey. Thank you. Thanks for asking. Young men like that do not care if the whole system burns down. I play video games with them regularly and talk to them and see how they feel. They're mad as hell. Yeah, look, I'd be mad too if I was this younger generation. And that's those are the discussions that we need to have. It's why I'm willing to go on different platforms and have these discussions. It's because I just think that the younger generation is hearing from the wrong people. And the people that are speaking to them, the red pillars, the incels, the ones that are trying to convince them that immigrants are the problem, also only show left-wing crazies. Like, they show our worst people. They'll show you a clip and they'll be like, this is what the left wants. And it's somebody like, burn down the government, and everybody cut off your balls. It's like, all right, that's not a liberal. That's just a psycho. And you show that to make that our position. But yeah, I think that most people, even these kids that are angry watching, make them understand who that is. Make them understand that that's a parent. And I think they'll change their mind. I think most people are good. It's just that you have to put them in a position where they have to confront things that they don't confront in their normal everyday life. It's easy to sit on the sidelines, ignore these videos, and only watch the videos that like this administration's putting out where they're like, look, this is a violent criminal who has been deported. And then they put the caption, why do Dems want this guy to stay in the country? Nobody's asking for that guy to stay in the country. Nobody is saying, like, let's not deport violent criminals. The problem is that you said you were deporting violent criminals, and we keep seeing videos of you ripping mothers from their children's arms. And I'm wondering where the violent crime is there. And I'm wondering how, with all these gang arrests that you've had and all these violent criminals, no shootouts, no violence against ICE. To be honest, if we're going to be real honest about ICE, I think they're all a bunch of pussies. I think that there is violent crime. I think that there are gangs that they could go try and deport, but they're too afraid. They don't want that fight. They don't want that battle. They just joined ICE because they were racist. So they're going to go for low-hanging fruit. They're going to go after the people. They're going to go after the moms who aren't going to fight them. They're going to go after the people at their job sites who are just working, trying to make a living. They're going to go after all those people. But I don't see him going into gang neighborhoods. I don't see him taking down gang leaders. I don't see any videos of that. It's always just them like walking into a work site, slamming somebody to the ground and be like, stay still, motherfucker. like you're so tough, man. You're so fucking tough when that guy who was working got slammed to the ground and you started screaming at him. That's what I think about ICE. I think most of them are cowards. And I think certainly almost all of them are just racist cowards, which I shouldn't have to say. Like race, if you're a racist, you're just a coward. That's part of it. Amy Lynn, yeah, the $42,000 bonuses, and now our government's trying to give them bonuses. Yeah, I checked those, Jen. I just haven't added them to the total. I want to show this. This is from Ryan Grimm from Dropsite News. If you remember last week, the Trump administration sent over an agreement to Iran about they didn't want them to be able to enrich their uranium. That was part of the nuclear agreement. And then it appears that Trump got a phone call from AIPAC and Israel. And we've got a problem because Trump already sent out an agreement. And now, before Iran has even decided whether or not they're going to accept that agreement, now Republicans are on his ass. And he's talking about backtracking from that agreement because Israel doesn't think that other countries besides the United States and them should have access to nuclear weapons.
A few hours ago, I posted on here about how the U.S. and Iran were getting closer to reaching a deal because the U.S. had backed away from its previous red line that Iran could have zero enrichment as part of a nuclear deal. You can go back and watch my last clip on that if you want some of the background there. The new update, Donald Trump is now out on Truth Social saying that, in fact, there can be zero enrichment. So he is obviously facing extraordinary amounts of pressure. The original report came from Barak Rabid at Axios, who is all of his reporting. He's very well connected, with sources in the Netanyahu government and throughout the Israeli government. It feels like some.
Hold on, the man, the legend, is still here and thinks that video went well for him. Yeah, but you're still here. Good for you, dude. Good for you. Well, you're welcome to stay.
Somebody in Israel learned about the contents of the proposal that the U.S. made to Iran, which included allowing a civilian nuclear program with strong inspections, and leaked it. And now there has been enormous pressure on Trump, and Taco Trump is now out publicly saying there will be no enrichment, except Iran already has a proposal that theoretically they could just simply agree to. Iran has said they don't like every element of the proposal, but the deal was on offer earlier today or yesterday from the Trump administration. New talks are coming up now. So how Trump squares this remains to be seen, or how Witkoff tries to square this remains to be seen.
They hit him with the JK. Hey, that agreement we sent over, just kidding. We were joking about that one. We were joking about the that agreement. Can you send that back? We've got to make some edits. To the dude who keeps S-Bow, like the Boulder terrorist is an illegal alien. We covered that yesterday. Please don't spam the chat with shit we already covered yesterday. So I know that it's like fucking with you. that nobody's talking about that right now. Chill. We covered it yesterday. You're going to be okay. But you can't keep spamming that in the chat or you're going to get muted. We don't allow people to just spam the same message over and over here. So we covered it yesterday. Our replays are available. You can watch that on YouTube. And by the way, if you're just getting here, we're on Spotify now. So you can catch all our episodes on Spotify. Thank you for reminding me there. You can go watch all that shit yesterday.
But Trump hasn't yet figured out how he is going to, on the one hand, make Mary Mandelson, his largest single donor, even I think ahead of Elon Musk, how he's going to make her happy, but also cut a nuclear deal with Iran, which he very much wants to, and which is in U.S. national interest. So he's pulled
the real agreement will be ready in 2 weeks. Hold on. Just give us 2 more weeks, please.
Between his donors and U.S. national interest, and I guess we're going to find out which one prevails here.
There we go. So a lot of clarity out of this administration. I think what happened is Trump, he went to Qatar, he went to Saudi Arabia, and if you tell Trump how great he is, he just does what you want. And I think that's what happened. And then he got back, and then he met with AIPAC, and they're like, dude, you're the greatest in the world. You got to help us. And he's like, okay. And they're like, but you sent an agreement to Iran. And he's like, fuck. They're like, can you just ask for it back? So now he's asking for it back. It really is it would be really frustrating to be somebody who buys Donald Trump because you have to constantly remind him, he's a really insecure person. And you have to constantly, I do love you. I do think you're great. I have to tell you that every single day so that you don't get in your feelings and push away. Because that's what he'll do. Trump lashes out. If he ever feels like somebody doesn't worship him, he just lashes out. Especially if they did at one point. Then he gets really, really upset. So we'll see. The master negotiator, that's Art of the Deal right there. If everybody remembers from chapter 7 of Art of the Deal, it said the best thing, the best way to negotiate is to send somebody an agreement and then 2 weeks later be like, just kidding, send it back. That makes you look strong and not totally incompetent. I think that's chapter 7 in Art of the Deal there. Let's talk about the spending bill. Ron Johnson, Republican, very influential Republican, is not happy with the big, beautiful bill, and he went on Fox to talk about it.
We didn't do the work. We did the same old way. We exempted most spending, looked at a couple of programs, tweaked them, tried to get a CBO score, talked about what seemed to be a big number, but a number that is completely inadequate. It doesn't meet the moment. Again, $22 trillion, and that's on the low side, Maria. You've got interest rate risk. That CBO estimate assumes we're going to increase taxes by about $4 trillion. Now, we can argue over, okay, if you increase taxes, they probably wouldn't get that amount. You still have to account for that $4 trillion. If you
I just want to make clear what we're talking about. Let's just say that we own a bagel shop, right? And we're making, let's say we're making ends meet. We're going into a little bit of debt every month, but we're like, this is starting to take off. So we're adding a little bit of debt every month to our bagel shop. We got to pay employees and materials. We're not quite profitable. And so we get together as an ownership with the bagel shop and we say, here's what we're going to do. We're going to lower prices for bagels. The amount of money people pay us for bagels, it's $4. We're going to make it $3 now. And we're going to do this because we are certain that if we charge people $3 instead of $4, that we will get double the amount of people that are here. And then you just go with it. And you say, we're going to try this for 10 years. That's what the federal government is saying right now. They're saying, don't worry, we're going to drop revenues. We're going to take a smaller percentage of revenue to pay for all our bills. And by the way, we're increasing our bills. In the bagel shop, that's the other part. Not only are we going to have less revenue, but we're going to hire 5 more employees. We got to hire 5 more employees to pay. So our expenses are actually going to go up, and we're going to charge less for our product. But we believe that that tax revenue will keep up with that. And if you were the bagel shop and you had historical data, or let's say there was another bagel shop down the street that was charging $4 and then they went to $3 and they doubled their revenue or they doubled their visitors, you'd be like, okay, there's some historical data for that. The historical data in this country for increasing spending and then lowering taxes and have that revenue catch up and overtake spending has happened. If I did a percentage time, let me do the percentage. It's out of 0% of the time that has happened. Every time we do one of these massive tax cut bills, deficit spending goes up, and our debt goes up. Every time. That our historical data on cutting taxes while increasing spending says revenues will not keep up. And this is why we say, like, for Republicans, at what point are you willing to say trickle-down economics is an absolute failure? It has never worked. We can show you if we show you the debt by year. Debt by year, United States. Let's take a look at it. Is this the right one? That's not what I'm looking for. Can somebody just give me a goddamn graph? This might be the one. There we go. All right, so let's look from the 90s. We had a tax cut in the 90s. Deficit went up. We had the Bush tax cuts, which was what year were the Bush tax cuts? Was that 2004? Or was it earlier than that? Was it his first term? The Bush years, skyrocket under the Bush tax cuts, plus Obamacare goes up. Then we have the Trump tax cuts here in 2017, and it skyrockets. The very next year, debt went up. The next year, debt went up. Then we had COVID, so we had to do mandatory spending. Debt went up. Debt went up. Debt went up. Remember, we're still under Trump's tax cut here. And this isn't like I want to be clear on this. This is not Republicans versus Democrats. This entire thing is trickle-down economics. All of it. Even under the Obama years, ever since 1982, both parties have been doing this trickle-down economics thing. It doesn't fucking work. This is all we get. We just get more debt. It never, every time Republicans pass a tax cut, they tell you that don't worry, because it's going to free up so much money that the money will distribute more evenly, we'll get more in revenues, and the revenue will pay for the spending. And then it never, ever, ever does. I'm trying to see, like, when have we gone down at all since 1990? Not one single year have we gone down. We flatlined early in the 2000s. Not one year. Not one year. Jesus Christ, the man. Let it go, bud. Let it go, bud. You had your shot to debate or have a conversation. You did neither. Let it go. You absolute lunatic. When are we going to say that trickle-down economics is a failure? Republicans? Is there a Republican here that wants to come up and debate this? I want to know why you think that it's going to work, that our government has decided to cut revenues. But because they're going to cut revenues, it's going to increase or they're going to cut percentage of revenue. So it's going to increase total revenues, and it's going to make up for the spending. Here's the historical data. It has never happened. When is it going to happen? Is this the time? Is that what you guys are saying? Like, this time's going to be the time. It's a failure. That's why even Ron Johnson, like, Republicans can't figure out how to even spin this at this point.
Don't increase taxes. So again, we are facing a moment here where we've had an unprecedented level of spending increase from 2019, 58% to over $7 trillion. And it's just, we should have returned to pre-pandemic level spending in 2021. Joe Biden didn't do that. He averaged.
You didn't do that. You guys control the purse. It's my pet peeve of all these motherfuckers in Congress that go and blame Joe Biden. Bitch, you did it. Bitch, you voted for it. You did all of it. You voted for all that spending. Congress controls the purse. I'm so tired of members of Congress going, Joe Biden increased. No, he didn't. You did. It's always Congress. If you didn't vote for it, point to the people who did, but stop blaming the president. You guys voted for this. This doesn't work.
$1.9 trillion worth of deficits. Obama in his last 4 years averaged $550 billion. I mean, that is, again, you have to put all these numbers. I'm working on a report right now, doing all the work. Hope to have it complete, the 2025 budget reconciliation, facts and figures. I hope to hold a hearing within the next couple of weeks, certainly before we take any votes on this.
Are you willing to take this so far as to blow up President Trump's agenda and lose the re-election in 2026?
What? I think she meant midterms. I'm pretty sure she meant midterms.
Absolutely not. No, I want to see him succeed. But again, my loyalty is to the American people, to my kids and grandkids. We cannot continue to mortgage their future. The transfer of wealth from old people like
I love that. Absolutely not. Except for yes. Yes, I am. And everybody should. Like, this isn't, if you guys pass this bill, you're fucked. You don't, I'm telling you, Republicans, you do not want to pass this bill. This will not help you in the midterms. This is going to explode deficit spending. We're already seeing, like, remember that when we talk about, like, increasing the debt, we're talking about selling debt, too. So we're talking about on the markets trying to go out there and sell our bonds. Interest in our bonds are pretty low right now. More people are interested in selling our bonds than buying our bonds. So we're going to have to increase the rate of return on those bonds, especially since our credit rating just dipped. You know how, like, let's say you have an 800 credit score, you go get an auto loan, it's 3%, and then you're like, I'm going to think about it. And a month later, you come back, but you forgot to pay your credit card, and so your score went down 20 points because you forgot 1 month, and then now you have a higher rate. That's the case here. We're going to have to pay out more interest on our debt. It's not just that, like, debt maintains a certain interest level. Not only are we going to add debt, but we are going to add debt at a higher interest rate, meaning that we are going to have to increase revenues even more than they're projecting. Like, the CBO budget is projecting these deficits at current rates. We are not going to get current rates. We're not going to get current market value. People don't want to buy our debt right now because it's a little shaky. So if you're going to convince them to buy our debt, you're going to have to give them a higher rate of return. So, and even the CBO doesn't factor that in. Republicans are like, the CBO's wrong. They're wildly exaggerating. I would say the CBO's not exaggerating. I would say that the CBO is actually a pretty conservative estimate. I think reality says that we're going to have to give out a much higher return in order to get people to buy our bonds, especially given the fact that Trump is trying to run a trade war against everybody that wants to buy our bonds right now. And he's crashing the stock market for the billionaires in this country who buy our bonds. So he's going to have to charge. He's going to have to give a bigger rate of return. None of this is good. This is quite possibly the most economically brain-dead bill I've ever seen in my life. It makes no fucking sense. Nobody can even spin it in a way that it makes sense. They're just banking on this idea that Republicans are too goddamn dumb to know that just because their tax rate might be lower doesn't mean they'll have more money at the end of the month. We've shown this before, but, like, our country as a whole, we're not near the bottom as far as money left over at the end of the month, but we're not at the top either. And there are a lot of countries that have a 40, 45, 50% top effective tax rate. People are paying 40 to 50% of their income in taxes, and yet at the end of the month, they have more money left over to spend. Because it's a brain-dead approach, and it's a brain-dead lie that they tell you. They try and dumb it down this simply, like, if we cut your taxes, you'll have more money left over at the end of the month. Not necessarily. What if your health care goes up? What if your cost of living goes up? What if the cost of food goes up? What if the cost of auto insurance goes up? What if the cost of your cell phone goes up? What if the cost of everything around you goes up? And while we look at inflation right now and we say, like, inflation's in that window of 2 to 3%, that's good. It is good that inflation's at 2 to 3%. But are people able to save more money at the end of the month? No, they are not. This was the disconnect during, like, when Harris and Biden were running. Because Republicans loved talking about inflation, and they used that number of like 8 to 9%. And Harris and Biden were saying, no, we're in that effective range now. We're in that 2 to 3% range. And the disconnect was it didn't really matter because people at home were like, well, I don't care if it's at 9% or if it's 2%. All I care about is the fact that I can't buy more stuff, that stuff is getting more expensive, and my wages didn't keep up with it. So it doesn't matter if inflation right now is at 2% or 3%. What matters at the end of the day for Republicans is that people can afford more stuff. And all of this is inflationary. All of it is. None of this will drive prices down. Even historically, the stuff that Republicans say that they're going to do to drive prices down, like deregulation, They don't even have that in this bill. There's not deregulation that's going to drive prices down in this bill. This is literally just a handout to his billionaire friends. And for everybody that's in this chat right now, none of you will benefit from this. All of you will pay for this. Your prices will go up because prices always go up. But what won't keep up with the prices is the amount of money that you're making. This bill will not leave more money in your wallet at the end of every month. You will have less money. And most of you don't have money at the end of the month. Most of us don't. Most of Americans, 60%, don't have extra money at the end of the month. This will exasperate it. But again, they just are banking on this idea that you are the party of lower taxes, and so you believe in lower taxes, and so your belief will carry you through. And this is one of the ways that, like, I think they manipulate your Christianity. If you're a Christian, and no shade to Christians, I'm not a Christian. I respect your ability to be Christian, and I think the fact that I can openly say that I'm not a Christian and I can live my life however I want shows that we're not a Christian nation. See that? That was a callback. You call that a callback. But for those of you who are Christian, you have to accept one thing. You are conditioned to believe things that you don't have evidence for, and so you need to be aware of that. I'm not saying that that means that everything else in your life you don't demand evidence for. I'm just saying you need to be aware of that. We all have certain conditioning, and there are things that we are conditioned to believe or do or say that we need to be aware of. And Christianity is conditioning. In fact, it is a requirement that you believe things that you will never have evidence of. That is a requirement. That is what faith is. It's a requirement that you believe in things that you will never have evidence for. So, if people start talking in Christian coded language to you, you are going to have a tendency to believe them more than you would believe somebody like me. Because you think, oh, they're a Christian, they're similar to me, and they speak the same language. So when you talk about, like, when Republicans say, I believe in lower taxes, that should be a red flag. You shouldn't believe in lower taxes. It's not a belief system. It's mathematics. It's an equation. Will you bring in enough taxes to pay for the spending? Yes or no? The answer in this bill is no. Okay, are you going to cut spending so that you do bring in enough taxes? No. So what is this bill? Every Republican that is pushing this bill right now says, I believe that this will drive revenues high enough that it'll pay for our additional spending. It's never happened before, but they're telling you that. And because you are conditioned to believe things and to think that, like, this Republican ideology is similar to your Christian ideology, where it's just true and you'll find out about it later, instead you allow yourself to be walked into scenarios where we're at now, where mathematically none of this makes sense. Everybody who has scored this is like, no, this is going to increase the debt, and it's going to increase prices, it's going to increase inflation, and you guys are like, no, I believe in lower taxes. It shouldn't be a belief. Just do the math. Don't worry about beliefs when you can do math. Just do math. It will not drive revenue. Here's Rand Paul, who's not everybody's favorite Republican right now. Here was him on Fox News. Talk about why he is not going to vote for this bill.
In a separate post, Trump said there's a false narrative about spending in this bill. He said it is, quote, single biggest spending cut in history by far. Kentucky Senator Rand Paul joins me now. Mr. Senator.
Sorry, because I don't think he covers this, and I saw somebody said, SB said, I think they're talking about postponing the Medicaid cuts and other until 2027. There's another cut, I can't remember what it was, that Republicans were debating yesterday whether or not to take out of the bill. And I want to show you the fucking game. This is the game. The reason that they wanted to cut, like, the Medicaid and SNAP is because that's guaranteed revenue that the government is bringing in. And what they wanted to do is they wanted to limit the amount going out. Those cuts in Medicaid and SNAP were going to pay for the tax cut. So now, just so you understand what the game is, Republicans now, if they pull the cuts to Medicaid and SNAP, all Republicans are going to come to us and they're going to be like, see, now what do you have to complain about? And I would just say the answer is actually that it's worse fiscally to take out the Medicare and SNAP cuts, because those cuts were going to pay for the tax cuts. Just statistically speaking, mathematically speaking. Now these things that they're talking about taking out of the bill because it'll hurt middle-class people, that is going to make the debt explode even more, because those were cut to offset new spending. So they're going to pull out the revenue drivers, and they're going to keep spending the same. And it's going to work. It's going to work on Republicans, because Republicans will go to their grandma and be like, don't worry, grandma, we're not going to cut your Medicaid. Don't worry to my cousin, we're not going to cut your SNAP. And the end result of that will be, yes, there are some people who are going to keep their funding, which is good. I like that. But it's going to explode the debt even more. So they're taking out revenue drivers because they're not popular, but they're not cutting spending. There is nothing fiscally responsible about the Republican Party. They are just wild spenders. And why would you be surprised about that? Why would you be surprised that Donald Trump, who has lived his entire life in debt, isn't fiscally responsible? Well, imagine that. Imagine a guy who's bankrupted every corporation he ever started. Imagine that. Imagine that he's not fiscally responsible. Imagine the guy who got caught for tax fraud multiple times is not fiscally responsible. Imagine a guy who has left small businesses all over the country bankrupt after he didn't pay them for the work that they did. Imagine that. That's crazy.
I know you want more spending cuts included in the bill. Can you tell us what specifically you'd want to cut?
Yeah, it's even more than that. The biggest objection I have to the bill is adding $5 trillion to the debt ceiling. I'm actually very supportive of the tax cuts. I don't accept the CBO notion that the tax cuts will lead to deficits. The reason I believe there'll be more deficits is they're raising the debt ceiling $5 trillion. We know that this year, most of the Republicans, not me, voted to continue the Biden spending levels in March. So we're going to go through September of this year, and the deficit for this year is going to be over $2 trillion. If you're borrowing $5 trillion, that makes me think you're going to add over $2 trillion, maybe $2.8 trillion next year. So it doesn't show me that you've turned around. If you look at the spending cuts, it's complicated because it's $1.5 trillion. It sounds like this enormous number, but it's over 10 years, so it's $150 billion a year. They're also increasing spending for the military and for the border, $300 billion. That's actually more than all the Doge cuts that we've found so far. So something doesn't really add up here, and I can't be on record as being one who supports increasing the debt by $5 trillion. I think that's irresponsible. The bond markets are already starting to show that they're skittish over this. Yeah. We got interest rates of over 5% on the 10-year bond. There are real problems we face as a country.
That's what I was talking about earlier, but the bond market, when we talk about bonds, that's us selling our debt. Just simply put, like when we say that other countries own our debt, this is what we're talking about. We sell them treasury bonds. And at a 10-year bond, the rates are at 5% now. And we're having a hard time selling them at 5%. And the 5% is the rate of return that the person who buys the bond gets. Right? So that's them saying like 5% is worth it for me to loan you this money. But now the markets are looking like 5% is not going to cut it. We might have to look at like 5.5%, 5.75%, maybe 6%. And that just increases the rate that our debt goes up because we're having to pay out revenue. And by the way, who is the biggest holder of our debt? Americans, billionaires. So while we give these billionaires a tax break, we say, hey, enjoy your corporate tax break, enjoy your income tax break, enjoy all these pass-through entities tax breaks, enjoy all these loopholes that mean that like Elon Musk can claim that he makes $100,000 a year. Enjoy all those loopholes. Oh, and by the way, because we're giving you these tax breaks and we can't pay for what we're doing, could you guys loan us some money? And we'll pay you interest on it. Not only are you going to make your 2% increase in your tax cut, but also you're going to get 5 to 6% on the loans. And then they're going to come to the same government who just gave them a tax break and say, you know what? I'm not really comfortable at 5%. Why don't you give me 5.5%? Why don't you give me 5.75%, please? And the government will go, fuck, I guess that's our option. And so then they take the money that they have so much of because we don't tax them appropriately, and they give some of that money to the government, and then the government pays them 5.75% return. So effectively, they're getting like an 7 to 8% tax cut, and they're making and that return they're going to pay 15% on that because it's capital gains, or I think that's capital gains. I'm not sure. Maybe there's even there's probably loopholes for what you pay on treasury bonds. I bet there's an additional tax cut. Do we have any CPAs here? Is there an additional tax cut or tax break you get for buying bonds? Or is it taxed at 15% where capital gains is? Does anybody here know the answer to that? Is your return taxed at capital gains? We got to have a CPA in here. You know. Let me know. That's what Tony Ravioli was talking about last week. Well, Admir was high. Give him a break. All right, we'll keep going.
And we can't just blithely go on the way we have in the past.
Would you offer any kind of compromise? You don't want to raise the debt ceiling by $5 trillion. Would you okay it for an extra $2 trillion or $3 trillion? I mean, would you compromise?
I have offered a compromise, and the compromise I offered was in the form of an amendment recently, and I'd give them 3 months. And everybody says, oh, it's not long enough. Well, the whole purpose is to make them come back in 3 months and say, what?
But I don't know what, Weston, why do you say, like, who cares if Rand Paul is spineless? Like, who cares if he criticizes Trump? Right now, what he's saying is correct. He might be spineless. Those might be his ideas. But, like, more importantly, what he's saying right here is correct. And it's what we should be saying, too. The way that he explains it, rather than like the vitriol, I think that this happens a lot of times, is left-leaning outlets are going to cover this as like, Donald Trump hates poor people. The Republicans say fuck poor people. Is that what they're saying? No, they're just saying like, is that what's happening? Yeah. Why don't we just lay it out like Rand Paul is and say, effectively, here's what's happening. Effectively, we're giving a massive handout to billionaires, and then we're going to sell our debt to billionaires. I would much rather see more of that, because I think most people, once they hear, Democrats or Republicans, I think a lot of people check out. I appreciate Rand Paul here for explaining the numbers. I mean, like, here's why this is a problem.
What have you done for the spending? Show me where you've cut spending. Because in 3 months' time, we'll be rolling up on the deadline, and they'll be presenting more spending again. So in 3 months, and 3 months is a lot of money, Stuart. It's $500 billion for 3 months. I'd do it for 3 months. I wouldn't default. I'd do it for 3 months, and I'd say, show me now what you have done, because the history of this town is people making false promises. In fact, everybody in leadership on the Republican side is saying, oh, wait till after the 26 elections. We just need one more election. You remember when they said that about Obamacare? Elect us and we'll get rid of Obamacare. And they flailed away and never did it. It's the same way with spending cuts. They say wait till 2026 or 2027 and we'll have spending cuts. I'm not waiting, and I'm not voting for
2 more weeks, guys. It'll be there in 2 more weeks. Spending cuts are on their way. Just 2 more weeks, please.
$5 trillion in debt to see if they will keep their promises.
How much support do you have in the Senate? Can you muster 3, 4, 5, 6 votes for your position?
I think there are 4 people who are skittish about the spending levels. Some of them are skittish about the $5 trillion. I think I'm the most vocal on all fronts, but there are more starting to come to this realization. I think looking at the 10-year and looking at the bond sales being anemic, people not really wanting to buy the government debt, the ratio of purchase to buy orders, bid to buy orders has gone down. So I do think that there is some alarm growing. I think what the real thing's going to happen, and we won't know this, I think, before the bill comes due, but second quarter growth. If second quarter growth is weak, I think there's going to be a generalized freak out about these tariffs and a generalized freak out about not doing anything about spending or debt.
What would happen if your measure is accepted and you give them 3 months worth of...
All right, that part's not really relevant there. Nobody's going to accept his amendment, but... he is just going on basically saying, I'm willing to extend this for 3 months to make the cuts that you need. He's willing to kick the can down the road. Maybe that'll happen. I don't know. Maybe they'll push it back another 3 months. I don't think this is going to pass in the Senate. The numbers are too close. I don't think they're going to be able to pass this in the Senate. And I hope to God that they don't, because it's a disaster bill. It's an absolute disaster bill. It's just a handout to billionaires. I can't figure out why any fucking Republican supports this. It makes no sense. It doesn't help you. It doesn't help the country. It doesn't help it doesn't even help the long-term prospects for rich people. It's just like a handful of oligarchs are closer to their goal where they get to take over the world. Hey.
Hey.
Jesus Christ. Those pictures you just sent me.
he's coping really well. And just fun fact, I looked this up. So his argument about the case, it didn't establish the U.S. as a Christian nation. Looked it up. Justin Brewer stated his opinion that it was, but this is within the context of interpreting an immigration law. It was not a formal declaration of the nation's status. So
this is some like mod shit type argument where they go through like legal documents but have no fucking clue what they're reading, and so they just see something there. It's in there. That means it's the law. That's clearly that's not what. It is.
So I mean, no, he's wrong, shockingly, and. You calling him a psycho? He's saying you slurred him.
He's just being a bitch because
he's just being a psycho
because he got kicked. Yeah, like he could call it a slur. That's fine too. I didn't. And by the way, I didn't drop you for the slur. I dropped you because you dropped the slur because you were like that's what all of you do. That's when the argument's over. As soon as you guys drop that slur, we've all seen it. All of us have been around long enough. You guys drop that slur so that you can be kicked because you're getting dusted in an argument, and then you can sit in the chat and cry about like cancel culture because you're all just a bunch of professional fucking victims. And you could just use your time to research instead if you want. But yeah, we've all seen it before. We've all seen exactly your playbook. You're too dumb to have the argument, so you drop.
You want
a
to say
slur.
it's case law, but for not what you're making the case for. It's not a case to saying that the U.S. is a Christian nation, dummy.
Yeah, let's not give that loser any more oxygen. You can stay and cry in the comments. I got some cool stuff coming up.
Yeah, I mean, we can meet him to at some point. Anyways, so we've got about 2 hours left of the show. So this is our job. We do this each day, Monday through Friday from 9:30 to 1. So we've got in that top left-hand corner is our gift goal balance. So we need to try to knock that out each day, so that we can keep doing this, since we're crowdfunded. If you haven't already subscribed to us, please do so on Twitch. I've been mentioning this. I realized, if you used your Amazon Prime sub previously, it doesn't automatically renew on Twitch. That's something you'll have to go in and re-up each month. So you have to go in and manually do that, just FYI. So if you haven't already done that on Twitch, you can do so using an Amazon Prime sub, so you can use Jeff Bezos' money. You don't have to use your own. Regular subscription is free on YouTube, but we also have 4 different memberships if you would like to help support us that way. If you guys disagree with RTP and you would like to come on and talk in real time and have a conversation and not yell over, how you can do that is if you look at the Venmo, the GenDub1, that is my Discord username. You can DM me on Discord or add me as a friend, however that works, and I can bring you on to talk to RTP in real time. Also check out our link tree. We just added, I added to it our Spotify link, so we're uploading episodes. So if you'd like to go listen on Spotify, that'd be fantastic. We're trying to figure out a benefit for maybe some people in the Discord if watching up so many hours or something like that. We can do a special event, something like that. So we're fine tuning that piece. But yeah, we're on most other social media platforms. He's on Cameo and Spotify. Those are 2 most recent ones. If you'd like to check us out over there. And let's see. What do you call a $1,000 brothel? Are you muted?
Oh shit! Sorry, I was muted. Yeah, I don't know. Sorry, my bad.
A grand opening.
I thought grand opening. Okay, that's pretty good. I like that one. Thanks, Jen. All right, we are way off on our gift goal. That's my bad. Like Jen said, if we knocked out the dollar train now, we'd take out that whole goal in a hurry. We're about to get to the meat of everything. I did just want to show you though, because Rand Paul had the audacity to use math. Donald Trump's really upset about it, so he went on Twitter, or maybe this is Truther, and said, Rand votes no on everything, but never has any practical or constructive ideas. His ideas are actually crazy. Losers! The people of Kentucky can't stand him. This is a big growth bill. Yeah, it grows the fucking deficit. That's what it does. It grows the fucking deficit. Everything Rand Paul just said went over Donald Trump's head because he's financially illiterate. Like he's legitimately like fucking stupid when it comes to finances. He got a C- though at where did he go to school before he paid his way into Wharton? I can't remember what school he was at before he went to Wharton. But he had like a C- in I wonder what, I think one was accounting and one was economics. No B's, no A's. It was all C, D's, and F's. He's brilliant. 1.8 GPA out of that guy. But he's a genius. He totally earned that all on himself. All right, I want to keep going through the big, beautiful bill. I just want to show the first 5 minutes of this. Ooh, goddamn, that's loud. This is a 17-minute video that TYT Investigates clipped. And but I just want to show you the first 5 minutes of this. And just Republicans, again, like all they ever want to do is play victim. Like this whole hearing is supposed to talk about the Republican bill that is targeting federal judges. And there, if you don't know, like the bill is basically saying like, we're going to take down judges who rule against us. And they're calling them like rogue judges. The judges whose job it is to interpret the law are citing law, and almost every time they're being upheld by the Supreme Court on these injunctions. Like most of the time, I don't know, maybe 60, 70% of the time, their injunctions are being upheld. And that's how our system is supposed to work. But Republicans are mad about this because they're not interested in legislating. They're not interested in writing any real laws to fix anything. So instead, what they're focused on is trying to shut down the judicial branch from Donald Trump ruling by executive order. And that's what's bizarre about this bill in general. If you want what Donald Trump is asking for to be done to be law, write the fucking law. The judges have to interpret the law. If you don't like the judges' rulings, and the judges' rulings are based on precedent and their interpretation of the law, change the law. That's what Congress is supposed to do. But because they are just such cucks to Donald Trump, instead of writing laws to correct the things that they think are wrong, they've instead wrote a law that says maybe the president shouldn't have to listen to the judges. Maybe he should just be able to do whatever he wants. Maybe that whole checks and balances thing was bullshit anyways. Let's see this real quick. Sorry, before that goes. Bamarola said, Dollar Train. FOD said, my hunch, Alex Karp is the meat today. That's correct. And Devin said, here's $2 because you can't tell me what to do. Thank you.
Mr. Askin and Mr. McGovern have both talked about stopping the threats, take down the wanted posters. I would ask you to publicly then ask your side to stop threatening.
What she's talking about right now is that Raskin asked for them. There's many members of Congress who have these wanted posters that they're posting outside their office, and it is pictures of judges who they believe are rogue judges who aren't keeping, who are radical leftist lunatic judges, and they're putting up posters that say wanted with the judges' faces on them. And so naturally, rather than say, that's a good idea, we should take those down, the Republicans instead say this.
Stopping the threats, take down the wanted posters. I would ask you to publicly then ask your side to stop threatening members of Congress.
Okay.
If you're concerned about threats, there are threats to Republican members of Congress
by members of Congress, by judges. Because remember, in order for this, what she's talking about, in order for this to be analogous, the whataboutism she needs to use is you need to see either judges threatening members of Congress because it's Congress threatening judges, or members of Congress threatening other members of Congress. In order for this whataboutism to even make any fucking sense, she's going to have to give us some examples of Democrats currently who are putting up like posters threatening Republicans. Spoiler, she's not going to have one of those.
Your side, yes, there's wanted posters. I will get you copies of them because there's wanted posters of Republicans in their districts. And if you are concerned...
In their districts. First of all, let's just look. Like, if there's anywhere that you're going to find Republican wanted posters, it's going to be on Twitter. And I looked. I've been going through Twitter here trying to find these wanted posters. And the only posters I can find are legitimately like, I mean, we can go to latest, but what do we see here? Here's Trump putting up wanted, I mean, where are these posters? Does anybody have a clue? What is this? Did this guy used to be on TikTok, by the way? Where are they? Where are these wanted posters? Here's targets from Emily's list. I don't know what that is. It just says they're on notice. I guess that's not a member of Congress. Like, what are we talking about here? That's pretty funny. Welcome to Mar-a-Lago, home of the felon. Anyways, I'll let her keep going. But I can't even find what she's talking about. I spent like 30 minutes trying to figure. Yeah, and that's right. The wanted signs are like, we want you to show up for a town hall, not like we want you because you're a criminal. Republican members of Congress are putting up wanted posters of judges and calling them radical, leftist, lunatic, Marxist, traitorous judges. And she's like, what about the wanted posters from their Republicans' own constituents who are asking them to show up to a town hall? Is that the same thing?
About threats, maybe we should talk about all the threats. There's one of our Republican members there's a guillotine set up in front of his office. You don't think that's a threat?
I haven't seen a guillotine since January 6, 2021.
It's my time, and there is one. And
Where?
I am asking you.
I looked for this too. She's making a claim that like somewhere in the halls of Congress, there's a guillotine outside of a Republican Congress member's office. Where? I can't find it. This doesn't exist. And when, good line by Raskin, the Republican Party is just professional victimhood. And this lady, I don't know who this is. What is her name? I've never seen her before. She is an idiot. She's just like another whiny lady on the internet. That's how you get elected as a Republican right now. Just whine. Make sure that you tell everybody you're a victim. June 14th, Obama Day. Please plaster everywhere. Is that Obama Day? What's Obama Day? We the people said, thanks for always fighting for marginalized and vulnerable. Appreciate that.
Both right now to publicly renounce, say, stop the threats against Republican members of Congress.
To the extent that's happening, I'm not aware of it. I would absolutely denounce and renounce any threats against any member of Congress.
Thank you. And I would hope.
Okay. See how easy that was? If any of that is happening, I denounce it. See how easy that was? And obviously Republicans would be quick to denounce any violence, and they'll certainly denounce any violence here in a minute too.
That you would talk to your folks about stopping those threats because they are
give me a
real.
specific
We
example.
have members who have to wear. Yes, it is about. They brought up the threats, ma'am.
Yeah.
This is and
Madam Chair, I'd like to say
it is my time.
Will you please
my
denounce
time.
Trump for sending a mob here on January 6th?
January 6th is not happening right now. The threats are.
I'm not talking about that. I'm asking you guys to denounce things right now. I'm not denouncing things. You're denouncing things. I need you to denounce things in response to my fucking psycho members of my party posting wanted posters of judges. I'm responding to that with a bunch of made up things that didn't happen, and I'm asking you to denounce them. And Raskin's like, "Fuck it, yeah, I'll denounce them." And then they're like, "What about January 6th?" We're not talking about that.
Are happening.
We're talking about the made up things that I just made up right now.
Will you denounce that on your side?
And it's my time, ma'am, sir. But I would suggest that when you start talking about these threats,
yes,
that you talk about both sides. And I suggest that you talk to your side because you have been talking about January 6th for a very long time.
Will you denounce the threats against the judges?
I don't think anyone should be threatened. I don't think there should be wanted posters out there. But these are serious. I mean, we have members who have to wear bulletproof vests because of the Democrats coming.
Who? Who's forced to wear bulletproof vests?
After them.
Well, but I've had.
So
okay, if you want to wear one, if you've had threats against your life, and I believe that the Republicans have had threats against their life. If you're a member of Congress, first of all, and there are people who are threatening your life that are constituents, that's not good. Not only do I condemn that, but I would also ask Congress to wonder, like, why do you think it is that so many of you are getting threats right now? Why do you think, like, the general American public fucking hates you right now? Maybe it's because of shit like this. Maybe it's because of this. Maybe it's because you guys are hyper partisan crybabies. Maybe that's why.
I have several judicial restraining orders against people who have threatened me. So I can relate to what you're talking about.
Then you need to talk about all of them instead of sitting here in front of us saying that this is threats. And so I appreciate that you are going to denounce them and you're going to work with your side.
the Chief Justice of the United States of America who wrote about it in his annual report.
You talked about the threats. You brought it up.
Yeah.
And they are
Yes.
serious against members of this body, Republican members of this body. And so I would appreciate it when you start talking about those things, that you talk about both sides.
You're aware
There
that
is no both sides here, though. Remember, like, no Democratic members of Congress are threatening judges or other members of Congress. Republican members of Congress are threatening judges, and Republican members of Congress have threatened Democrat members of Congress. There isn't a both sides here. This is a one-sided issue. There are certainly threats against Republicans from Democrats, but not in office. We're not comparing apples and apples here. She just wants to don't talk about any of the stuff that our people who are elected who work in this building are doing. Instead, talk about one of the 330 million Americans who's pissed off and condemn them instead.
Democrats have received those threats too. So
I recognize that all of us have.
then we should all denounce it. We should all work against it, not just in the legislative branch, but the judicial branch as well.
I think the threats and the what has been going on to our Republican members of Congress in the last month or so is inexcusable. I mean, when they have
she can't even like cite something that happened yet. She's 0 for 3 on citing things that have happened.
Like the guillotine out in front, they're having to wear bulletproof vests.
There's no guillotine in front of a member of Congress's office. I can't find it. If somebody finds evidence of that, great. I would love to see it. I would love to be wrong. I spent way too much time this morning looking for that.
Because of the threats against them. And I recognize there's other threats, but this is right now, this is coming from an organized group of Democrats who are doing this. Yes, it is. Okay.
Well, who? She can't name who the threats are. She can't pick a specific threat. She's not going to tell us who this organized group is. This is all projection. This is you guys not realizing that you have been hijacked by a bunch of lunatics. Just like hyper-partisan Christian nationalist lunatics. And you guys want to play whataboutism, and you don't have whataboutism. In this case, you don't. Normally in Congress, you're going to have some whataboutism. This isn't one of those cases. It's only Republicans that are doing this. And if I'm wrong, I would love an example. You can send those to Jen. Let me read some comments real quick. Wayne says, taco, 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 taco. Oh, yeah, fuck text. P.S. Don't forget to wash your dirty balls. That's important. Angela said, dollar train. Bradley said, did you know your pupils are the last part to stop working when you die? They dilate. Thank you. Brett says, check out Mountainhead, new movie on HBO. It's about a tech billionaire retreat where they talk about doing coups on various countries while their AI causes chaos around the world. That sounds fucking terrifying. All right, great. I'll check that out.
It absolutely is. You can go on and look online because it's right there.
That could lead to something like January 6th, where 140 of our officers were wounded and injured. And we should stop it.
I'm reclaiming my time because I am talking about things that are happening right now that can be stopped.
No, you're not. You psycho.
And with that, I yield my time.
Look, we get it. Federal judges in 46 cases have blocked Donald Trump's executive orders and policies as unconstitutional or illegal. The judges ruling in these cases were appointed by 5 different presidents, Republican and Democrat alike, in 11 different district courts across 7 federal circuits. The courts have explained in painstaking detail what is unlawful about these orders and policies, and Trump has offered no substantive critique of their legal reasoning. He just says the jurists deciding are, quote, radical left judges, including Chief Judge Boasberg, the Chief Judge of the D.C. District Court.
Can somebody in here that's a Republican point to what the judges are doing that's unconstitutional without using generic attacks that they're radical leftists or partisan judges? And that's what's so crazy about the very fact that the Republicans have put forward a bill to target federal judges, and they can't even tell you what the judges are doing outside of ruling against Donald Trump. That's it. That's the only thing they can tell you. And that doesn't prove anything, right? What if Donald Trump's just a criminal? What if he just keeps doing unconstitutional things? Is that not possible? You guys are so convinced that Donald Trump doesn't do anything wrong that when the courts rule against him, when the Constitution stands against him, you blame the Constitution. You blame the judges. Some of these judges appointed by him. oh yeah, these judges are radical leftists. They just somehow they got appointed. Like, by the way, every judge Donald Trump appointed was given to him by the Federalist Society, like the most conservative Christian nationalist group possible. They are heavily vetted. They are curated from college. They are cultivated. They are what's the word I'm looking for? They are fuck it. I don't know what word I'm looking for. But they're taught. They're brought out of college and they are trained to be Federalist judges. And every judge Trump appointed was off of that list. But now they're like radical leftists. Somehow the Federalist Society just missed that. We don't have an answer. We don't have an answer for any of these. Just tell us what they're doing specifically. While I read these, I invite my Republican friends in the chat to tell me, give me a specific, please. Tim, thanks for joining the Dollar Train. Tony says, for even in Congress, they're painfully dumb. Andy, thanks for joining the Dollar Train. Charles, thanks for being here. Natalie, also for the Dollar Train. Vanessa says, thanks for holding the line. Thank you, Vanessa. And I think, I don't know if I read it. Ash said, it's been a while. Here's some money. Thank you. That's cute.
Who was nominated to the bench first by President George W. Bush and was Justice Kavanaugh's roommate at Yale.
Groomed. Groom's the word I was looking for. How did I not get groomed? Republicans knew that one.
Some fanatics are now attacking and threatening the judges and even their family members, like Judge Boasberg's daughter or Justice Amy Coney Barrett's sister, who got a bomb threat a few weeks ago. Some Republicans are calling the jurisprudence of these courts judicial warfare and are trying to impeach these so-called rogue judges. And some Republicans, like my friend Mr. Issa, are now trying to change the ability of courts to issue nationwide injunctions, something that Republicans took generous advantage of themselves in the last administration. The No Rogue Rulings Act would effectively ban district courts from providing nationwide relief against unlawful executive actions because litigants could request injunctive relief only with respect to themselves.
So just that's where I wanted to stop. But just to make sure we're clear on that, what the Republicans basically, what their argument is that you would have to individually, like if you're harmed by a Trump executive order, you individually would have to sue the Trump administration, that there can be, or you would have to have some sort of like class action, but that states or organizations can't sue on behalf of like a constituency, that it has to be all individuals. That's the way that they're trying to get around this. They're saying, look, judge, just because it's unconstitutional doesn't mean that he can't do it. And in fact, if it is unconstitutional, this is hurting specific people. Each of those people individually can file a lawsuit and they can seek individual relief. But you as a judge, you can't do like blanket relief. You can't offer blanket relief from unconstitutional acts. You can only do it on an individual basis. And I think that I don't think they have a solid legal argument there, although I'm not an attorney. I've heard their legal arguments. It didn't seem like the Supreme Court seemed to think that was a very good legal argument. But even if they do have a legal argument, I think it's a bad way to run a judicial branch. I think that would be a really silly way to run our system where everybody, it's like you versus the president. The power dynamics there are insane. And what if you don't have money to hire an attorney? You're just fucked. You just have to take it. This is a huge attempt of stripping away each and every one of your rights. Everybody here, if this is allowed to stand, you no longer really have rights against the federal government, because every time they trample on your rights, you have to sue them individually. Just think of the implications for my Second Amendment friends here. Just think about that. Let's say that the next president bans assault weapons. Do you think that the judges should be able to come in and just be like, well, he can do it, and you each have to individually sue to get your rights back? Do you think that's a good way for our judicial system to be set up? Or do you think that they should be able to make like more blanket injunctions? It's silly. I don't think anybody thinks this is a good way to run it. It's just that Republicans are afraid of Donald Trump. He wants to rule by executive order. They're not allowed to write bills. And so the only bills they can ever write are literally bills to make it easier for him to rule by executive order. Is this what you voted for? I want to know, is this what you voted for? That Congress get out of the way and let the president rule by executive order? And if it is, then all those times we called you a fascist, we were right. And you were upset for no reason. You just got your feelings hurt for no reason. But it turns out This whole time, you were big fans of fascism. Big fans of dictatorships. You just didn't want to admit it to yourselves. Before we get to the meat, what time is it? 11:30. All right, I got 2 more stories. 2 other things we need to keep an eye on. One, keep an eye on Don Jr. because I don't know how much control he has over Trump's investments. He seems to be in charge of the crypto side of it. He went on CNBC, which is obviously like they lean heavily right. This program specifically. They're in the financial markets. They're big fans of like deregulation. They don't want a lot of hurdles for them to be able to trade. They like being able to make obscene amounts of money in the stock market. And they're having like none of Don Jr., just none of it. And Don Jr. is the dumber of the sons. Eric is a little bit smarter than Don Jr., but even Don Jr. is just not that bright. And he was completely outmatched here.
Lead into some of the other things. The meme coin. Is that okay for your dad to have a meme coin?
I think, of course, when he did that before he was in office, he did these things.
2 days. 2 days before he was in office. 2 fucking days before he was in office. They're acting like, yeah, that was law. He was doing that when he was a private citizen. 2 days. Also, bro, are we going to talk about Don Jr.'s eyes? Are we going to talk about that at all? Oof. What you on, dude? What you on?
He did these things. The reason we got into crypto, and we're all in on crypto, and we're doing American Bitcoin, and we have World Liberty Finance and USD1, was because there was a time, and probably I'd been on this show, where I could call any single banker in New York City. They'd pick up the phone. I'd be able to get a loan for whatever real estate project I was doing across the street. Then we got into politics.
Let me just say something. He wasn't doing any real estate projects. This guy didn't have the power of the purse for the Trump for the Trump org. Donald Trump doesn't trust him with money. He wasn't doing real estate deals. And Donald Trump hasn't done real estate deals for decades. He's been doing licensing deals. He's about to tell you a lie. What he's about to tell you right now is that banks loved Trump until he ran for office. It's not true. It's been decades of banks, American banks, not lending to Donald Trump, and it's because he has fucked them over so many times and left them holding the bag that nobody's willing to do business with him on a real estate project, which is why all of his real estate deals now are licensing agreements. He's not securing funding for real estate deals. Nobody will give it to him because he fucks it up every time.
And all of a sudden, they wouldn't take your call. Right. You couldn't get financing. We were debanked. And what I realized, and my brother realized, because we were the recipients of every subpoena imaginable, was that, you know what, we were actually just the top of this sort of pyramid scheme that we didn't realize we were a part of, that the financial system was totally...
He was close there for a second, huh? He was close. He didn't realize that the top of it was the Trump org. That was the pyramid scheme.
Undemocratized. Because we had a certain balance sheet and whatever, we could kind of do whatever we wanted. The regular guy was messed up. Now we were all of a sudden...
Yeah, we can all get loans, dude. As long as we have collateral and good credit, we can all get loans. You can't. This isn't they always do this. They're like, if we're victims, so you are. I can get loans. Raise your hand in the chat if you can get a loan. People can get loans if you have collateral and you have credit and you have income. You guys had collateral and credit, or you had collateral and income. You didn't have credit because you fuck everybody over all the time. What do they think? Just bank? Does he think that like nobody can get bank loans anymore? This is all because no conservatives can get bank loans anymore. And it's because they hate my dad. Sure.
In the shoes of the regular guy that wouldn't be able to take advantage of the markets. And we said, what's the solution?
All right, that's enough. Let's mute the man, the legend for a while. That's enough, bud. You've had 400,000 comments today. I'd like the people in the chat to be able to pay attention. Can we mute that guy for the remainder of this? You can come back tomorrow.
For that. The answer is crypto. These decentralized platforms where you're not beholden to this, where you create efficiencies. As a guy that did real estate, why am I paying points in and out for title insurance that could be done on the blockchain? So we got into crypto not because it was like, hey, this is the next...
Okay, let me just point something out here. And this is why I say Donald Trump Jr. is actually dumb and doesn't have a fucking clue what he's talking about. What he just said, he's talking about title insurance, and there are title companies actually have started using blockchain technology for title insurance. And really what that does is it just speeds up the process. But there's still problems with the blockchain because it doesn't account for unreported variables. Like if there's a lien that is unreported, or that it missed, or if you have let's say that you have a property and there's heirs that have a claim to that property, but it's unreported. So blockchain doesn't fix all of the problems, but it does fix like the timing of title insurance. But I want you to hear what he said here. He doesn't really understand what he's saying about blockchain.
Not because it was like, hey, this is the next cool thing. We got into it out of necessity. We got into it because we understood just how quickly we could be turned off.
Oh, shoot, I didn't go back far enough.
Efficiencies as a guy that did real estate. Why am I paying points in and out for title insurance that could be done on the blockchain? So we got into crypto not because it was like, hey, this is the next cool thing.
Crypto and blockchain aren't the same thing. Cryptocurrency is a currency housed on blockchain. Title insurance is not cryptocurrency. When he's talking about title insurance, he's talking about title companies using blockchain technology. It has nothing to do with crypto. What they're saying, these stories, it's always, and this is a Republican thing. This is what all of them, this is what Patrick Bet-David does. All of these people who have a lot of money, who are talking about finances, Mr. Wonderful does this, PBD, who's that idiot in Scottsdale, Grant Cardone. They don't understand how any of this works. They understand how to scam the system. He doesn't, when he's telling this story, I got into crypto because I was worried about title insurance. Bull fucking shit. We know why you guys got into crypto. The guy has admitted it. They came to you and they were like, hey, you can make so much money in crypto. And they're like, yeah, we're in. That's what happened. All these crypto nerds want to tell you like, yeah, it's really like I have this philosophical tie to crypto. I want to deregulate finance. I want to end the Fed. I want a deregulated currency that works across borders. And has that happened? No, you guys, what happened with Bitcoin is they're like, Bitcoin's the wave of the future. And what'd you guys do with Bitcoin? You turned it into a bunch of fucking scams. You figured out ways to make other coins where you could scam people out of their Bitcoin. And you could run pump and dump schemes. You could run pyramid schemes. That's what happened to the crypto industry. That's why you need regulation. This idea that you should deregulate finance is fucking insane. In fact, Peter Thiel, the guy who's in crypto now, you can go back from like the early 2010s. You'll see him saying like, actually, I do like deregulation in business, but finance needs more regulation. There's not enough financial regulation. And I would agree with him there. There's not enough financial regulation in crypto. Donald Trump is openly taking bribes. He's openly running a Ponzi scheme, and it's because crypto is deregulated. If this was cash in, cash out, Donald Trump would be in jail right now, legitimately. And Republicans would impeach and remove him. They would have no choice. If Donald Trump was just taking money from the Saudis and they were putting it in his checking account, everybody would be like, yeah, you can't do that. But because he has this pass-through entity of cryptocurrency, the Republicans are like, oh, it's a different thing. Yeah, we don't know. And here's Don Jr. He's just going to tell you how this works. He's going to tell you how they're running their scam here. It's wild. They're just on the record now like, this is how we're running scams.
About the meme coin, okay? You may not believe this. I want your father and this White House to have all the credibility in the world. And invariably, people are always going to question whatever any president does. But one of the things that people do demonstrably question is they say this meme coin that your father has creates the opportunity for foreign adversaries, people in the U.S., anybody, if they want, to effectively funnel money.
It's as bad as Hunter's art.
It's
as bad as Hunter's art or the Clinton Foundation with her getting back into the White House. It just seems like a way that greases the skids for influence.
So I think the meme coin.
Okay. You're not ready for this answer, I promise. I promise you're not ready for how stupid this answer is. The accusation is that people are able to just pay you through crypto, and it's no different than the Clinton Foundation, or what was the other one he mentioned?
Hunter's art.
Hunter's art, which is, that was obviously a way to like try and grease the skids when somebody overpaid for Hunter's art. But I promise you're not ready for how dumb this answer is and how openly corrupt this answer is. Like, he's just saying like, yeah, we're doing it.
Way that greases the skids for influence.
So I think the meme coin, you don't know who's actually doing any of these things, right? So
yeah, but you don't know because it's crypto, and you guys, and it's hard to track crypto wallets. The difference is you guys don't know who's doing it. And he's trying to say, I think, that like, oh, we don't know who's sending us money. But of course, nobody believes that, right? Nobody believes that like people are just sending Donald Trump hundreds of millions of dollars, investing in his meme coin for no reason. Everybody that went to like that crypto thing with Trump, they were like, I'm going to get to talk to Donald Trump and I'm going to push crypto deregulation. I get to share my ideas with him about crypto. I paid $30 million for this seat at the table so that I can talk to Donald Trump about how he's going to make laws so it's easier for me to make money via crypto. And Don Jr.'s like, well, you don't know who they are because you don't know how to track crypto wallets. Louis said, thank you. Thank you, Louis.
That's one of the things that has people on edge.
It's different because it's hard to influence if you don't actually know where the stuff's coming from, right? So I wasn't involved in the meme coin. I'm more focused on, obviously, the stable coin.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You don't. I'm not involved in that. I don't know anything about that. What are you talking about? I'm not involved. So I'm going to talk now about Bitcoin mining instead, because I really don't want to answer this question.
The Bitcoin mining, some of those things. But the reality is, I think a lot of these things in the meme coin.
You're not taking responsibility for the meme.
I'm just saying the reality of the meme coin is it's sort of a proof of concept that the crypto world understands exactly what I was talking about earlier. That the market.
Yeah. What's the proof of concept here, Don Jr.? Proof of concept of what? That a deregulated crypto industry is a way for people to scam? To just like transfer massive amounts of money from the pockets of the unknowing to yours? What's the proof of concept in shit coins? I like that they call them meme coins. Let's call them what they are. They're shit coins. They're scam coins. They're Ponzi scheme coins. That's all they are. Let's call them what they are. What's the proof of concept he's talking about here? Now, I didn't go to Wharton. I know your dad did. I think Don Jr. went to Wharton. I didn't go to Wharton. But what is the proof of concept you're talking about here?
That may not necessarily be fair. The traditional banking system may not be fair to them. So it's a proof of concept of what I think we can move the needle in crypto. And I think that's going to be the future of finance. It's going to be the future of banking, almost without question. If we can accelerate that process by going all in on it,
but you've heard from people in the crypto.
It's crazy to me that they're like, this is the future of banking. Okay, well, if it's the future of banking, are you not going to regulate it? Is there anybody here? Are there any Republicans here that think the problem with our banking system is that they are too regulated, that they are too transparent, that they have we have too much power over them? Just anybody that's in the chat, can you raise your hand if you think the problem, and I only want to hear from Republicans, just raise your hand if you think the problem with banking is that we have too much transparency from them. They're too honest with us. We know too much about where their money is going. We know we have too much say in how they work their fee structures. Is it anybody? Please don't raise it. I'm going to be shocked if any of you guys raise your hand. That's what he's saying. Crypto is the future of banking because banking doesn't allow like meme coin Ponzi schemes. So we got to have crypto. It's very important. That's why it's the future. Because these Ponzi schemes that my dad are running, you're not allowed to run those as banks. I don't know if you guys have heard of what's that? Oh, Jesus Christ. My brain is shot to shit. Who's the Ponzi scheme guy? I don't remember his name now. Bernie Madoff. The problem is it's impossible for Bernie Madoff or people like Bernie Madoff to not get caught anymore. And so we need to make it more possible for people to run scams like Bernie Madoff.
Industry. I imagine some of your friends who have said that some of these coins and what's happening may undermine a little bit of what's happening because people are questioning it, right?
I have not heard that from anyone, actually. What I hear from those people is like, thank you for doing this. You're giving us the legitimacy that we fought for so long. And this isn't just a conservative issue, Joe. I mean, these are highly libertarian people. This is actually one of those 50 million holders of some sort of crypto, whether it's Bitcoin, stables, ETH, Sol, whatever it may be. There's 50 million in America, and they're not all right wing. These are people who just believe in freedom. They've seen what's happening.
Yeah, freedom. They believe in money. That's what they believe in. They believe in money. They just want to make more money. And one of the easiest ways, like everybody who's like a crypto billionaire or crypto millionaire, that's probably the easiest money they ever made in their life. It's not hard. You really just have to be in the know, or you have to find patterns of people who are scamming and tail their trades. Like if you can figure out the scammers, like what they're doing, And there are signs, but if you can figure out early that people are about to run a pump and dump, then you can get in on that too. But you're just like, you're a little bit better than them because you figured it out. You didn't plan it, but like you're still participating in the pump and dump. So are you really much better? I would argue you are not. It's up. Let's leave that up to the chat. All right, now we're gonna get to the meat. Let me check comments real quick before we get to that. I need to read a couple from Jen. And then I need to update that. Jen, actually, we do announcements real quick, and then I'll update the numbers if you're here. Maybe.
I'm sorry.
Hey.
All right. Sorry, sometimes when you're in here, if you move off the screen, you have to do something tricky to get it to unmute. Anyways, so we have about 10 minutes left of the show. As you mentioned before, we are crowdfunded. So that top left-hand corner number is the remaining balance of our gift goal. We try to hit that each day so that we can keep doing this and pissing conservatives and MAGA off. So if you guys could help us out, knock out the rest of that balance, that would be amazing. Venmo, Cash App, PayPal, Super Chats all go towards knocking down that gift goal. I saw when I mentioned when I was up here earlier that if you are on Twitch, you can use your Amazon Prime sub if you subscribed before with it. And it's been more than a month, you'll have to resubscribe because it's not something that automatically renews. So that helps support us there. And on YouTube, you can do a free subscription, or we also have 4 different memberships if you guys would like to help us out that way. If you disagree with RTP and would like to come and talk to him, how you can do that is if you look at the Venmo username, that is my Discord username. You can add me on Discord and I can bring you up and have a conversation in real time. So it's Jen, 2 N's, Dub, 2 B's, the number 1. And that's how you can do that. Check out our link tree. We're starting adding these episodes to Spotify. So if you'd like to go listen over there, that would be awesome. And then he's also on Cameo. So there's all those fun things that you guys could do to go hang out with us in other places. What do you call a drunk parrot that makes fun of everyone?
I don't know.
Tequila Mockingbird.
So stupid. Bradley says, my wife asked me the other day where I get so much candy. I said, I always have a few Twix up my sleeve. And Jamar said, anal choo-choo. So thank you for that. I saw some people I'm not anti-Bitcoin, to be honest. I think Bitcoin's a fine way to diversify. I think that I don't think Bitcoin is a pump and dump. I think that there's too many people invested in Bitcoin to be able to pump and dump it. That's the problem with shit coins, is that for somebody with $100 million, you can pump and dump a shit coin. You just get a couple of your rich friends or famous friends to tweet about it. It pumps. You're already in it. You dump it. And there you go. You've made a small fortune. So to be clear, I don't think crypto necessarily has to go away, but I think that the lack of regulation and the over prevalence of Ponzi schemes and shit coins, I think it does a disservice to those of you who want Bitcoin, who think Bitcoin is the future. I think that it shows that we need more regulation. And I don't know, if you start regulating crypto, will Bitcoin lose its value? I don't think so. I would imagine if you started heavily regulating crypto, you would see the price of Ethereum and Bitcoin rise, because that regulation doesn't necessarily apply to them. The stuff you want to do to stop pump and dump schemes, those don't really necessarily affect Ethereum and Bitcoin. And there's probably a few other ones. I don't know what the big ones are. So I don't know if Litecoin is still big, but there's probably a handful of coins that it would actually help quite a bit, and it would solidify them. So I'm not anti-Bitcoin. I'm not anti-cryptocurrency. I just think that the fact that it's heavily deregulated or doesn't have regulation hurts the product, and it scares people away as investors. You get scammed once, you may never come back. Elizabeth, thank you for joining the Dollar Train. Alyssa says, I'll be right back. The sound of Don Jr.'s voice makes my inner ear bleed. Both of my eyes twitch, and now I want to run my head into a wall. He's so goddamn dumb. And Jody says, resuming the taco train choo-choo. All right, we're to the meat now. And you, whoever it was that guessed correctly that we were going to talk about, what is his Alex Karp. You were like mostly right. We're going to talk about Peter Thiel and how tech billionaires are planning to destroy America. I've actually played parts of this video, not this one, the next video before, and it should take up the rest of our show. But before that, I just, my favorite of all the journalists in the world, or I don't know, I guess you could call them commentators in the world. My absolute favorite commentator in the world is James O'Brien from the LBC. And this was him yesterday talking about Peter Thiel. Now, the reason he's talking about Peter Thiel is because the government is issuing contracts to Palantir. And they're issuing contracts across the board to Palantir to collect, analyze, and put together profiles on Americans. That's what Palantir does. That's what their AI does, which is called, is it called Gotham or some shit like that? I forget what it's called. It's some Marvel universe name. And because of that, people are looking at Peter Thiel. Now, Peter Thiel was one of the original investors in Palantir. And Palantir, let me be careful how I say this. There are a lot of people you'll see, and I've been tagged in videos today because I tweeted about Palantir, and so all the Nick Fuentes people came to my thread, and they're like, Palantir was started by the CIA. Kind of. I think that's not like a bad take, but just to be accurate, the first client of Palantir was the CIA, and the CIA funded it. So whatever you want to, however you want to work that, like, are they the CIA? No. Were they founded by the CIA? No. Was all of their contracts given by the CIA to start? Yes. Did they get funding from the CIA? They absolutely did. They've been in bed with the CIA since day one. And then after that, they've tried to distance themselves and say like, oh no, we're a data company, and they built out this brand, and now they're doing exactly what they've always said they're going to do. Now, there's the story of the Reds, the Grays, and the Blues. You guys should look this up. But it wasn't Curtis Yarvin. Somebody in the chat can tell me who it is. There's a guy that's friends with all of these folks that wrote a story, a proposal about the Reds, the Blues, and the Grays. And his belief is that the Grays should rule the country. And they were going to basically take over San Francisco. And the Grays would run it. And the Reds, who are you, MAGA, you would be allowed to live there. But you would have to wear red shirts to identify who you are. You are not the elite class, you're the working class, and Blues are not allowed. Blues would become like a bottom, even I guess if you are there, you are the bottom of the barrel. And you would have basically profiles built on everybody. You would live in a surveillance state, you would live in a police state, you would have to have badges and things like retinal scans to get anywhere. This is their dream. This has always been their dream, to have their own private cities or private countries so that they could and have a police state with some sort of monarchy or oligarchy or elite ruling class system where not everybody had a vote. We showed you Curtis Yarvin yesterday saying like, yeah, like Mike, I have 4 kids. They're not allowed. They don't make decisions for my house. Why would I run a country the same way? And so that's why people are concerned. And that's why, again, my favorite journalist, James O'Brien, is bringing up Peter Thiel now.
This Peter Thiel guy is one that you should definitely be finding more out about. Thiel. Founded PayPal, spent time in South Africa growing up, including, I read somewhere, in a town where outward expressions of support for the Nazis were still permissible. He has said that he has come to I'm quoting now, no longer believe that freedom and democracy are compatible, largely because of welfare beneficiaries and women in general. If you look at some of the stuff that Trump has done, particularly in the arena of diversity, equity, and inclusion, the idea that people who are not wealthy and white do not deserve to be treated with equity or indeed offered inclusion, gathering enormous pace, probably really quickly. When the dust settles on the early days of the Trump administration, some of the stuff they've done in this field will stand comparison with what was going on in 1930s Germany. It just will. This Peter Thiel...
And it is. Like, we're not at the Holocaust yet, but we are at the, labeling people, collecting information on them. I don't know what the difference between the brown shirts and these ICE raids are. Somebody can explain it to me. Outside of the outfit, I don't know what's very different there. It is. Like, a lot of this is just incredibly similar to 1930s Germany. And will it end in a genocide? I don't know. I'm not ready to say that it will. But we act like that the only problem with 1930s Germany was the way that it ended. I think a lot of you guys like look at this and you're like, well, we're not to concentration camps yet. We're not burning people's bodies yet. We're not doing that yet, so it's fine. It seems like a lot of you might have just like gone along for the ride at the Holocaust too. It's fine. It's fine. Yeah, I get it. But those Jewish people they're a threat to me. I mean, there's some idiot in here that has like brought up the Jewish people like a million times. Like they're like just collectively Jewish people are evil, which is a fucking crazy way to view the world. But yeah, you guys would have been on board too. So that takes me here.
That.
And I'm starting about 12 minutes into this video. This is called Dark Gothic MAGA, How Tech Billionaires Plan to Destroy America. This is from Blonde Politics. That's the YouTube channel. And we're just going to get the last half of this video. I skipped the first 12. It just introduces the characters. I'll try my best as new people are introduced to explain who they are.
A contest.
Oh, wait, I forgot to read these. Sam said Taco Train. Proxy Moxie also says Taco Train. Did I miss any there? Got Tim there. I just want to check real quick before I get started. And Brad says, who were the greenest presidents in U.S. history? That would be the Bushes. Thank you. Thank you, Brad.
Charter up to 10 new cities and award them to the best proposals for development. These freedom cities will reopen the frontier, reignite American imagination.
I wonder where he...
Now, that was from Agenda 47, and he's talking about freedom cities. So just so you're clear on that. That was from those old videos that totally weren't Project 2025. And Trump unveiled this plan about freedom cities. And this came late in Agenda 47, kind of right after the time that Peter Thiel and his buddies started giving him money, and J.D. Vance all of a sudden was a prominent VP candidate.
He got that idea. This is where J.D. Vance comes in. J.D. Vance is seen as a mild-mannered, well-spoken success story. A populist who was born into tough circumstances in Appalachia, but managed to pull himself up by his bootstraps, graduate from Yale Law, become a best-selling author, become a tech venture capitalist, only to give all of that up for public service. When he was officially tapped on the shoulder for the vice presidential nomination, many of his former colleagues celebrated. Elon Musk, David Sachs, Mark Andreessen, and Balaji all tweeted their congratulations. After all...
Now, remember, J.D. Vance was kind of a nobody, and he got into Yale, and as soon as he got to Yale, Peter Thiel took him under his wing. Peter Thiel did the same thing to Elon. He's done the same thing for virtually everybody that's come through any of these Ivy League institutions since he graduated. And he grooms them, and he tells them it's cool to be a conservative, and he gives them jobs right out of college. He gave J.D. Vance a bunch of money to run an absolute failure of a business. And then when he realized J.D. Vance was dog shit at running businesses, he's like, why don't you just run for Senate instead? And then he funded his whole Senate campaign. And we have J.D. Vance because we have Peter Thiel. And that's why it's important to know like what Peter Thiel is all about, what his plan is.
Well, it was a strange choice for Donald Trump, especially compared to Mike Pence. But when it comes to J.D. Vance, a lot of people make strange choices. Peter Thiel invested $15 million in his campaign to become senator, the largest single donation to a Senate campaign in history.
Thanks, Jen.
J.D. Vance is an extension of Peter Thiel. That doesn't mean that he is beholden to him, but it does mean that Peter Thiel has had such a huge influence on J.D. Vance's life that you cannot understand him without first understanding who Peter Thiel is.
I'm Peter Thiel. I build companies and I support people who are building new things.
I would say Peter Thiel is the most honest representation of what Silicon Valley is today. Worth up to $9 billion, extremely well connected. He started off as a member of the PayPal mafia, the guys who invented PayPal, and they originally intended for that to be a libertarian alternative to the US dollar.
It's important to remember, we talked about yesterday, but all of these guys, they didn't start companies just to make money. They started companies with like an ideology. PayPal was this idea that what like cryptocurrency has become now. PayPal was going to be this alternate to banks. And they did that because they wanted deregulation and they wanted more control. And Peter Thiel viewed PayPal as a way, like, if I run PayPal and I have all this control, I'm essentially going to be as powerful as the chairman of the Fed or Congress because I'm going to be the one controlling a massive amount of money. That was the whole idea behind PayPal originally. And that was the whole idea behind Google. That was the whole idea behind Twitter and Facebook. All of them had, maybe not Facebook. I take back Facebook. Zuckerberg kind of came in later. They all had like a political agenda and a political slant. And the idea was to be able to influence people towards their political agenda. So all of them, like these weren't just like, we're here for the investors. They all had what they view is like they view themselves in a role of like, I don't know if a savior's the right way, but they wanted to fundamentally change culture and society. It wasn't really about like giving somebody something that was a benefit. It was about changing society and having the control and the means to do that.
It wasn't that, and they sold out. He used the money that he made from PayPal to invest in other companies, including being the first outside investor in Facebook. And today he has invested in a huge portion of the tech industry, including companies like Sam Altman's OpenAI. He's also a big deal in the tech defense sector. He owns Palantir, which is a surveillance software that is basically omnipresent in the US government. It's used by the CIA, FBI, ICE, Homeland Security, various police forces. Palantir is also used by private companies such as Cambridge Analytica. In 2009, Thiel wrote a manifesto called The Education of a Libertarian. In this manifesto, he disavows electoral politics and democracy because he doesn't trust the people with big decisions, and he's come to believe that democracy and freedom are inherently incompatible.
So now, if he's writing this, that democracy and freedom inherently are incompatible, then now you have to ask yourself why he linked with the party. Like, you guys all say that you're pro-democracy. Why do you think he linked himself to the Republicans? If he doesn't believe in democracy, why do you think he would invest all this money and all this time into Republicans? It's because of you. It's because of you, the voter. It's because he recognizes how easily you guys will like abandon the principles you claim that you have if they scare you enough about somebody else. If they tell you that something else is a threat and so you have to abandon democracy. He doesn't want democracy. This is the thought leader. This is the origin of Elon Musk. This is the origin of J.D. Vance. These people fundamentally do not believe in democracy. They think they're smarter than you, and they're using you because you guys will go along with it. Explain why else they publicly pretend that they're all about democracy, but then privately they're not. It's because they know they can lie to you. You don't care what they say. None of you are going to care that you watch this probably. None of you are going to care that these people who are funding Donald Trump and seemingly running most of this administration don't want democracy. They want to undo it.
Over time, he has talked extensively about finding areas where great men can make choices as they see fit, unbridled by the law. Thiel gave the Trump campaign $1.25 million.
What Trump represents isn't crazy, and it's not going away. He points toward a new Republican Party. He points even beyond the remaking of one party to a new American politics.
And in return,
I think sometimes we hear people say that, and we're used to our politicians speaking in flowery language. We're like, this is going to be a new American politics. But in Peter Thiel's case, he has a plan. This isn't just flowery language. This isn't just a speech that was written to him to inspire hope. He actually has a plan. And the new American politics is not democracy. It's rule by the elite.
He got an office in the Trump Tower where he had the president's ear and suggested candidates for his administration. Some of his selections didn't make the cut, like Balaji, but some did. Michael Kratsios was put in as the Chief Technology Officer of the United States of America, a position I did not know existed, and Michael Anton was put on the National Security Council. Michael Anton wrote a very concerning essay called The Flight 93 Election, which I have linked below, and it is very enlightening about who Peter Thiel thinks belongs on the National Security Council. And remember Curtis Yarvin, who we were talking about before? He is often referred to as Thiel's in-house philosopher. Thiel has not only invested in a number of Yarvin's businesses, but he keeps Yarvin in his inner circle. Yarvin watched the 2016 election from Peter Thiel's house, where they celebrated with champagne at Thiel's successful investment in the Trump campaign. And while...
Why would you be celebrating that? You got two people whose stated goal is to end democracy and have the elite rule. They give Trump some money. Thiel gives Trump some money. Trump wins, and then they go celebrate it. If that's their stated goal, and they're not, and they don't believe that they can get Trump to overturn democracy, then what are they celebrating? Out of curiosity, what other thing could they possibly be celebrating there? Whether it happens or not, and we're seeing it play out in real time. Their goal is to influence Trump to move towards the world that they like, and it makes sense when you think about the worlds colliding. Trump also wants that. Trump wants everybody to listen to what he says, and he wants them to do it without arguing. He demands it. He wants to shut down all dissenting voices against him. Whatever you say about Trump, like if you like him or not, he's not a person who can sit down and have a conversation about ideas and have a good faith conversation. There is zero evidence ever that Donald Trump is capable of having a discussion with people who disagree with him without him being a complete and total fucking asshole. He's just a narcissist. He wants everybody to obey. So in that way, like they found somebody in Trump where their message of like, we want the power and you can be part of this too, that makes sense. Like we'll follow you, Trump, but here's some ideas. Here's some ideas of how you can take power. Here's some ideas of how you can silence the people who are oppressing you. Oh, you don't like Twitter? You don't like that Twitter says mean things about you? Oh, we have a friend. A guy, in fact, that I groomed from the time he was in college. And I've mentored him through all of his businesses. I've got a guy that we could probably just have run Twitter. His name's Elon. Yeah, let me have Elon buy Twitter and change everything in favor for you. You don't think that's phenomenal for Trump? Oh, and I was the first investor in Facebook. My friend Mark. Let me get Mark in here, and I'm going to have Mark come talk to you. And you say to Mark, I don't like that Facebook bans people who were proud of Jan 6. I don't like that I'm not allowed on Facebook. I don't like that they censor misinformation on Facebook. And Zuckerberg's like, you know what, Peter, thanks for bringing me in. Thanks for making me aware of this. Tell you what, we'll just move our entire operation for moderation down to Austin, Texas with all the other conservatives. And we will stop fact checking you guys. And Trump's like, that's terrific. Now I have more power.
Peter Thiel may not be as explicit in his beliefs as someone like Balaji or Elon or even Mark Andreessen. Yavin assured Milo Yiannopoulos over email that Peter Thiel was fully enlightened, just plays it very carefully. People in the New Right circles refer to Yavin as Lord Yavin or the Prophet. This isn't someone on the fringe of the movement. This is someone who is respected. Just like Peter Thiel, JD Vance is an avid reader and friend of Curtis Yarvin.
There's this guy, Curtis Yarvin, who's written about some of these things.
Vance not only name checks Curtis Yarvin, but he
just name checking a lunatic thought leader the guy that groomed JD Vance and the guy that got JD Vance the VP slot and the guy that funded JD Vance's Senate campaign and the guy that funded JD Vance's businesses. That guy, Peter Thiel, has Curtis Yarvin in his inner circle. He brings up Curtis Yarvin to all the people he's influencing and grooming. But yeah, we shouldn't worry about Curtis Yarvin, right, and his influence. He's a borderline prophet to JD Vance. We have to understand that. Think of who JD Vance is. JD Vance also claims he's a Catholic, but JD Vance is willing to criticize the Pope. He consistently disagrees with the Pope. But Curtis Yarvin, we're all in on Curtis Yarvin. He's a fake Christian, JD Vance. Somebody asked me, like, why that likes JD Vance that's a Republican. They asked me, they're like, why, who wouldn't like JD Vance? Anybody who's ever left religion, anybody who's ever left a cult, anybody who's ever left any sort of high demand organization recognizes JD Vance for exactly what the fuck he is. He's a phony. He's a complete and total fraud. He has no clue who he is. And so he's able to, like a chameleon, act a certain way to fit a role. But you should not trust JD Vance. JD Vance is flipped on most of his beliefs his entire life. He just changes to whatever he needs to be. I think I don't like Donald Trump. I'm a never Trump guy. He's like Hitler. 2 years later, he's the greatest thing in the whole wide world. After Peter Thiel, his mentor, gives Trump a bunch of money, suddenly JD Vance is a Trump guy. And suddenly when Trump can't pick a VP, And all these people want influence from Trump. They're like, hey, could you come out to San Francisco? We're going to hold a fundraiser for you. Trump's like, hell yeah, I love money. So they fly him out to he flies out to San Francisco. They meet with him. I think it might have been at Andreessen's house. I can't remember whose house it was at. Gets millions of dollars. And all of a sudden, J.D. Vance, who nobody's even thinking of for the vice president, all of a sudden he's at the top of the list. And like 2 weeks later, he's the VP selection. Just out of nowhere. Remember how surprised you guys were when like J.D. Vance came out of nowhere? And all of a sudden he was the selection? Probably had something to do with this, right?
Often uses his languages and repeats his ideas.
You actually popularized the term red pill in the political context, is that right?
Yeah, that's actually true.
Is this concept of red pilling.
Yavin writes a lot of strange things, but one thing I'm particularly interested in is the blueprint he wrote for Donald Trump. It's called The Butterfly Revolution. It's quite radical, and another thing that would be easy to dismiss, but here's a clip of Yavin talking...
Amy Lynn said, Cambridge Analytica, the one Trump used in his first election, their advice, repeat 3 and 4 word phrases, i.e. lock her up, make America great, and so on. Yeah, that same one. The same one that Steve Bannon helped start. The same one who was sharing all their information that they got from Facebook through Peter Thiel, because Peter Thiel helped Cambridge Analytica access and sort Facebook data. And they used all that Facebook data to create profiles of would-be Trump voters, and they fed them full of exactly what you're talking about. Lock her up, make America great again, build the wall. They filled them full of catchphrases so that they would be deathly loyal to Trump. Because for once they could understand politics, even though they didn't really understand it. They just said what he said, because he doesn't say anything. Yeah, that same company.
About why he thinks it would be successful today.
Americans of 2024 are incredibly frivolous, incredibly ironic. It is the most ironic society in history. I imagine people trying to cope with a film like The Matrix or Inception in like 1960. Total frame breaking of this kind in some ways is actually easier than the sort of incremental political logic that people have employed in the past. They can sort of more easily imagine, oh man, it's all the Truman Show. In fact, they mostly already believe that it's all the Truman Show. They just don't understand the implications of that.
Which is crazy because they're, like he says this, he recognizes this about red pillars. And the reason that they understand red pillars so much is they are running a Truman Show. They are. They're running in the background. They're running the algorithms. That's what Elon's doing on Twitter. That's why you have all these angsty fucking incels that are come in here every day and are like, "How do you feel about the Jews?" Yeah, they're just controlling you. They understand that there are people who are going to view the world this way. So they're like, we'll be the ones running the Truman Show. We'll just tell them it's somebody else. We'll blame it on some other shadowy group. We'll blame it on the Jews. We'll blame it on the government. We'll blame it on Hillary Clinton. We'll create this cabal and we'll create QAnon. Really, we're the ones running everything. Like, who is running all of these social media platforms? Who's behind it? It's Peter Thiel and his buddies. They're behind every bit of this. They're invested in every one of them, and they sit on the boards of every one of them, and they're telling you that, oh, no, it's Hillary Clinton. It's the Jews. Also that they can control you. Everybody that comes in here every day with your anti-Semitism, the only reason you're anti-Semitic is because these people are manipulating you into being anti-Semitic, and they're blaming Jewish people for exactly what they're doing. And you guys buy it. That's the problem with all this is it really fucking works. Check with Jen real quick. I read that one. Okay.
Something I find concerning is the many ways that the butterfly revolution perfectly aligns with Project 20.
Oh, sorry. Purple Kitty said, to be free is not merely cast off one's chains, but to live in a way that respects and enhances the freedom of others. Nelson Mandela. Love that.
25. Not a huge amount of the tech bros in Silicon Valley are religious, but that doesn't really stop these kinds of groups working together. Definitionally, both of these movements are fascistic. Fascism has never been a fully coherent ideology. That's one of the things that gives fascism its strength, its ability to bring together groups from different movements, all of whom see fascism as a viable mechanism to achieving their own program. And that's why some people say that fascism is always hyphenated. So it's always going to be tech fascism and Christian fascism, but these people can work together, and they do.
One of the things that evangelicals and libertarians should agree on is that the political order is not divinely ordained.
Amen.
Project 2025 has similar stated goals to the tech industry.
That sounds a lot. How did Legend get back in here? Mute him again. Get him out of here. Same shit, right? Like that's just manipulation right there. Like, oh well, this is not ordained of God. Who? What God ordained? They use that flowery language so that, again, remember I told you guys that you need to be aware of the people who use your religion to gain power. What they're saying is, this is not ordained of God, so we're going to start a new movement that is ordained of God. And the way that you know that it's ordained of God is that we tell you that it's ordained of God. And look at us. We're Christian too. We talk just like you. We talk about God openly. So we're the same. And if we say that it's ordained of God, then it's ordained of God. Just a heads up, that's how cults start. That's how you get stuck in a cult. You start believing that somebody speaks for God, or you start believing that like their view of God for some reason is correct. And so you abandoned rational thinking and you follow somebody because they speak like you, Donald Trump. The only reason you guys follow him is he speaks exactly like you. That's why you guys follow Peter Thiel. You might not even know you follow Peter Thiel, but he speaks like you. So it makes you comfortable, so you believe it. And I don't speak like you, so it makes you uncomfortable, so you don't believe it. And I would speak like them, but I left a cult, and I don't want to start my own cult. And I don't like that type of manipulation. So this stream is more for people who don't want to be manipulated, who would just like to have a conversation.
In particular, the dismantling of the administrative state and the return of self-governance to the people. Project 2025 is made up of 4 pillars, and Pillar 4 is the playbook. It is a transition plan for the president's eyes only. It will be rolled out upon the president's utterance of "So help me God." We don't know what's in this playbook, but given the alignment of talking points, key figures being involved in both, it wouldn't surprise me if it was similar to the butterfly revolution. And I think that's worth investigating. The butterfly revolution. Step 1. Campaign on autocracy.
He says, "You're not going to be a dictator, are you?" I said, no, other than day one.
Yavin says that Donald Trump should run on his autocratic ambition, but he should frame it as destroying an inefficient and unworkable system.
We are in the late Republican period. If we're going to push back against it, we have to get pretty wild and pretty far out there.
It's this type of like end of time shit that works. Like, so all of you that are Christian, I'm Mormon, or was Mormon. And one of the interesting things about Christians and Mormons and religious people in general is, for as long as they've been in existence, they've been telling you that the end of times is right around the corner. There's always this end of time, like we're in a war, we're in a spiritual war, and the end times are right around the corner. And they've never changed that messaging. It's we're over 2,000 years later. It's the same fucking messaging. The end of times is just around the corner. In Mormonism, we have these things. They're called patriarchal blessings. I think it's about when you're like 14. Between the time you're 14 and 18, you go and you get a patriarchal blessing. And so there's somebody that's like chosen as the patriarch of like the stake, which is just a geographical like breakup of where you live. And what you do is you go in fasting. So you don't eat the whole day, and you go in, and the patriarch is also supposed to be fasting. You go in, you talk for a minute, then you sit down. It's just you and them in a room. You close your eyes. They put a little olive oil on your head that is like blessed from God, and they give you a blessing. And they put their hands on your head, and it's kind of like they like read your future a little bit, and they'll tell you things like you're going to be a great father, you're going to be, you're going to follow God. But a lot of these patriarchs for years were saying like you will live to see the return of Jesus. And there were all these people that were such firm believers. My grandpa, my grandma, their grandparents, uncles, aunts, cousins, people who have died, people that I know that have died. In their blessing, it said, you will live to see Jesus return to the earth. And it doesn't ever happen. And it doesn't shake anybody's faith. That's what's fucking crazy. They believe these people speak to God, and then when what they predict doesn't come to fruition, for some reason, it doesn't shake their faith. It's the same reason it never shakes. Like every time Trump gets convicted of a crime or gets caught lying or does something that gets struck down by a judge, it turns you crazier. It makes you believe in him more. This is the type of manipulation that they use. They talk about like the end stages of the Republican Party, the end stages of democracy. And frankly, like I actually think that socialists do this too. When we talk about like the late stages of capitalism, I think a lot of times socialists use and abuse this as a way to get their point across without actually explaining what's going on and how we can fix it. They use late stage capitalism as like a phase that is going to happen and then it will be over. But that's not like that. It's a theory. You can get to late stage capitalism and then you can go backwards. You can undo some of those things, right? And I think people sometimes use this type of like these types of metaphors to condition you to make sure that you follow them, because you don't want to be left. You don't want to be left on the outs. Like, if democracy is coming to an end, you better side with a side that agrees with you. So when you start seeing them going after judges, you're like, oh, well, exactly like they said, this is the end of democracy. Meanwhile, they're trying to end democracy. That's their goal. So they tell you the end of democracy is coming because that's what they're trying to do. And then you're like, oh no, the liberals are ending democracy. I better side with my friends. And since it's going to end anyways, I guess I'll just stay here with my conservatives while they try and rip democracy from the United States. Do you see how this works? This is how cults operate too. It's just one thing after another. And by the way, if they're not able to get this done, do you think any of them or any of you is just going to be like, oh no, those big, oh no, it's extended. Actually, we're still in the late stages. It'll probably next year. And then the next person that runs, when JD Vance runs, he's like, democracy will be undone. Remember in 2020, Trump said the country will cease to exist if Joe Biden wins the presidency? What the fuck happened to that? Can we get the crypto scammers out of here, please? Thank you. What the fuck? We're getting a crypto attacked here. You guys are a nightmare. We're getting botted. That's great. First time. That's good. That's good news. That means we're getting targeted. Anyways, that's what they'll do. I don't know if this is going to take down our stream or not. Try your best to ignore it. Head over to Twitch if you don't want to deal with these bots. And then mods, do your best to just anybody who's talking about that shit, just get rid of them.
Go in directions that a lot of conservatives right now are uncomfortable with.
We are in the process of the Second American Revolution, which will remain bloodless if the left allows it to be.
Step 2. Purge the bureaucracy. Curtis Yarvin refers to this as RAGE.
RAGE stands for retire all government employees.
And he has clearly influenced some very important people.
I think that what Trump should do, like if I was giving him one piece of advice, fire every single mid-level bureaucrat, every civil servant in the administrative state.
And we know that Donald Trump would
Then why don't they want the administrative state? Why do they want to get rid of these bureaucracies? They're telling you, remember, and this is what was like part of that Jubilee episode. Remember what they said. Like, they're like, oh, these bureaucrats are stealing your money. Who was it the other day that was saying that it was, I don't know if that was on the Jubilee stream or not. Oh, no, it was Joe Rogan. It was Rogan when he was saying they're doing money laundering. They tell you that the bureaucracy is the problem and that that's really that's why you guys have problems. But the reality is they want the bureaucracy gone because what's standing in the way of them taking over the government is the bureaucracy. Right? So when Elon Musk comes in and kills all the investigations into him, there were 280 open complaints into Twitter alone from the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, and he killed all of those investigations. And he fired all the inspector generals that were investigating him. And then he went and he did the same thing at the NLRB, and they're doing the same thing at the SEC, and they're doing the same thing at the FTC, and they're doing the same thing at the FEC, and they're doing the same thing at the FAA, and they're doing the same thing at NASA. They're just getting rid of anybody who stands in their way from taking over the government. And then Elon starts handing himself government contracts through Trump. And then he gains more control. Once you have control over the government through like SpaceX, and you basically eliminate NASA, and then you're going to basically eliminate the FAA. They're trying to replace all of these government entities with companies run by them. Why? So they can have power, so they can get rid of democracy, so your voice doesn't really count anymore. They don't hate the administrative state. They desperately want the administrative state to be owned by them. So they just lied to you. They just lied to you and told you that that was the problem, and they were going to kill that, and it was going to free up your life and make it a lot easier. But the reality is they're just trying to steal it from us. They're trying to take the administrative state that we have at least some say in and take that from us where we have no say in the administrative state anymore. Privatize the FAA. What happens when planes start crashing? What are you going to do? You don't own it. The government doesn't own it. Sorry. Then they'll just be like, oh, it's free market capitalism. Why doesn't somebody start their own FAA to compete with it? Oh, because you can't. Because nobody has the money to make their own FAA. And you'll just bury them anyways. Well, that's free market capitalism, baby. No, it's not. It's oligarchy. This plan is working, and it's only working because Republicans won't wake the fuck up. Just wake the fuck up. See what's happening right now. Did you save any money from Doge? Did Doge make your life any easier? No. But what did Elon Musk get out of it? He got a whole lot of contracts and he got a whole lot of data. And for some reason, he shared that data with Russia. And now they're putting Palantir, his friend's company, in whose job it is to build profiles of people. They're going to take all this private company. Donald Trump is giving a private company whose owner's sole goal is to end democracy. Trump is going to give them all of your data, access, and all of the government's data. That means access to your tax records. That means access to your birth records. That means access to where you go to school, where your kids go to school. It means access to government camera, everything, the entire network. The entire infrastructure of our country is going to be handed with a nod and a wink and say, we trust you, to Palantir, to a bunch of people whose stated goal is to undo democracy. And you just can't be convinced, can you? You just can't.
Be open to rage because it sounds a lot like Schedule F, an executive order issued by Donald Trump in October of 2020. Schedule F would have essentially stripped protections from civil servants who didn't show enough loyalty to the president of the day, which is why Joe Biden rescinded this order the second he came into office in January of 2021, but Trump has said he plans to reinstate it.
First, I will immediately reissue my 2020 executive order restoring the president's authority to remove rogue bureaucrats, and I will wield that power very aggressively.
In order for you to agree with that, what you're saying is, I trust that guy to make the decisions on what a rogue bureaucrat is. I trust the president to make whatever decisions he wants, and I don't get a say in that. And you guys voted for it. You're like, yeah, I love that. Why? Because you love Trump, because he talks like you. He speaks like you. You think he's on your team. You have no fucking clue that he's not playing for your team. He's done nothing for you since he's entered office. He's lined his pockets with hundreds of millions of dollars. He's trying to hand out a tax cut to his buddies, and all the government contracts that his buddies want, they're getting. This is like if Dick Cheney was on steroids. We all agree Dick Cheney was a sick fuck. We all agree that Dick Cheney abused his power by handing off government contracts to his donors and his friends. Everybody in America agrees with that. But now when Trump's doing it, we just pretend it's not happening. At least with Dick Cheney, we didn't really know it was happening at the time. We found out about it later. We're watching Trump do it in real time. And you guys think because you know about it that it's transparent. It's transparent because he knows you don't care. He knows you have no clue what he's doing and that you'll support every move he makes. So he's using you. He's now weaponized your support for him to allow him to just give the government to his friends. And they all have an exit plan. They all have businesses and properties in Qatar and the UAE and Saudi Arabia. They're all doing it together. This is the globalist takeover you guys have been blaming the Jews for forever, and they're just doing it, and they've got you just convinced that it's the Jews, and it's them. Jewish people are just like, I'm just living my life, bro. What the fuck are you talking about? I'm just living. There's no cabal. We're not doing anything. We're just living, and you guys don't recognize a cabal when it's right in front of you.
But how could you accomplish that so quickly? I mean, you need civil servants.
Thanks,
Don't
Casey.
worry, Project 2025 is already on it. Pillar 2 of Project 2025 could be considered MAGA LinkedIn. This platform is designed to pre-stream...
That's a really good point, Welchin. The problem is most people who cry fascist for decades have no clue what fascism is, so more people won't take them seriously. I do think that's a fair criticism of our side of the aisle, is that if you are going to claim something, you should be able to back it up. And if you can't, maybe let somebody else explain it. But that's true. There are things Trump does that are just stupid, that people are like, see, he's a fascist. And it doesn't show that he's a fascist. And so that word loses power. I do agree with that. I don't know what side of the aisle you're on, but I agree with what you're saying. Amy said it was a danger that Hunter had a drug habit, but not that Elon does, or that Trump's pharmacist made up goodie bags for the administration. Group 2 said, didn't some red governors also give Doge access to state offices? Yes. Thank you.
Candidates for their loyalty and streamline the appointments process.
We talk about conservative warriors, but we want people who've been canceled.
Sorry, Ortiz says go Chiefs, and Jen, thanks for joining the Dollar Train.
Figuratively given blood for the movement.
You can join it right now. Then pair that with Pillar 3, which is an online education platform known as the Presidential Administration Academy, and you have preemptively educated all future employees on what is expected of them from the Conservative administration. Step 3. Ignore the courts. According to Yavin, the president should simply state that he believes...
Can I just also point out that this video, now we've just covered ignoring the courts. This video was made 6 months ago. So this was all in the plan. All this stuff that they're saying, it's not like she made this video yesterday. None of you knew that they had this plan to ignore the courts. But we all did, because we read Project 2025. And we all did because we read the teachings of Curtis Yarvin and Peter Thiel. We knew. We tried to tell you. You claimed that this wasn't real, and now it's happening.
And V. Marbury was decided incorrectly, declare a state of emergency, and that way Supreme Court rulings would be merely advisory.
Oh, how'd that happen? Do we have a state of emergency right now? Yeah, this fake violence emergency. We're at historic lows for violent crime, and yet Trump has used a state of emergency, the Aliens and Enemies Act, to declare a fake emergency so that they can do all this shit and they can ignore judges. Did she just absolutely predict exactly what they were going to do? Yep. But yeah, this totally wasn't a plan that was put in place, right? Just a coincidence. Another example of parallel thinking, right? It wasn't a plan that was put in place.
Courts stop you, stand before the country like Andrew Jackson did, and say the Chief Justice has made his ruling, now let him enforce it.
But thanks to recent Supreme Court decisions, he may not even need to do that.
The High Court has just issued one of its most consequential rulings in recent decades, a decision that not only affects the 2024 race for president following last week's contentious debate, but also the future of the presidency itself.
Trump v. United States has laid the groundwork to ensure that Donald Trump can ignore the court. Now, the president...
Now, that was also part of their plan. Like, they've been funding these Federalist Society judges. When Trump came into office in 2016, did he pick judges? No, he read off of a list from Federalist Society. And this is where, like, the Christian nationalists and the technocrats, they align. They have always wanted the executive branch to be able to ignore court rulings. And so now they align, and they finally got a majority, and they find with a bunch of Federalist judges who have clearly been bribed. It's been proven over and over that they've received bribes. And then they rule all of a sudden, out of nowhere. Even though every one of them said when they were, because we knew, like, people have known this plan. Every one of them was asked, like, does the president have absolute immunity? And they all said no. And then all of a sudden they get a Supreme Court case in front of them, and they have a majority, and suddenly they all just changed their mind. Isn't that crazy? But they lied. It's the whole lying for the Lord thing. It's a righteous lie. They lied to you because of something that they needed to do that was more righteous. It was okay to lie at that point. And you guys go along with it because you also believe it was a righteous lie, because you think that this is a good versus evil thing. I don't believe in good versus evil. And let's just call this what it is. This is democracy versus oligarchy, or democracy versus fascism, or democracy versus dictatorship. That's what we're looking at here. And if you are on the side of dictatorship and oligarchy and fascism, just admit it. But if you are trying to claim that you're on the side of democracy and you're siding with this administration, there's nothing left to say except for you're fucking dumb. Like, you just are. Maybe it's willfully dumb. I don't know. Maybe you have the intelligence, but you're not willing to use it. But at this point, what are you watching?
It has absolute immunity for core official acts and presumptive immunity for all other official acts. A distinction that has not been clarified by the court, with only a few examples being provided. And
Cold, I'll give you a little attention. You can't even spell the things that you voted for. Shut the fuck up. You can't say you voted for things if you can't even spell them. Go back into the hole that you crawled out of.
Absolutely no guardrails to stop the misuse of this decision being put in place.
Today's decision almost certainly means that there are virtually no limits on what the president can do, because the power of the office will no longer be constrained by the law, even including the Supreme Court of the United States. The only limits will be self-imposed by the president alone.
Step 4. Co-opt Congress.
There you go. Yep. There you go, Andrew. You keep spewing democracy, man. That's just mob rules. Yeah, I would rather have mob rule than dictatorship. I would rather have mob rule than fascism. I would rather have mob rule than oligarchy. I prefer mob rule. And the reason I prefer mob rule, and the reason that you structure it as mob rule, is you have to use that colorful language to pretend that it's a mob. But generally speaking, when you get a group of people together and they have to collectively decide what's going to happen, they make better decisions than dictators and oligarchs. They're going to make a more collective decision, and that decision will likely take in the opinions of most of the people. I find that better. Yeah. See, you even say this, like, you just like fascism, and I appreciate you being honest about that. Honestly, I do. I appreciate you being honest about that. You like fascism. You like oligarchy. You like a dictatorship. I have a difference of opinion, but I appreciate you, Andrew, for at least being honest about that. That you and some other people don't like democracy. You think it's a more flawed system than the elite ruling.
Garvin suggests that Trump handpicked candidates for every single seat, with the sole criterion being personal loyalty to him. Because you can't have a parliamentary dictatorship if you don't have Congress. And while it seems like a big task, Garvin assures us you only need a couple of $1 billion. I know some people with a few $1 billion. While Peter Thiel may have decided to sit this election cycle out, Elon Musk, Mark Andreessen, Brian Armstrong have not.
We got to get the congressmen elected, and we got to get the senators elected, because we can take the Senate pretty easily. And I think with our little secret, we're going to do really well with the House, right? Our little secret is having a big impact. He and I have a secret. We'll tell you what it is when the race is over.
Step 5. Centralized police and government powers. In this declared state of emergency, Garvin suggests that Trump take...
Let me just do a quick announcement, and then we got 2 more sections here. Just as a reminder, if you guys are here, we are crowdfunded. We have about 25 minutes left. We'll probably go a little bit over today. I've got some extra time. Anything any of you guys can do to help wipe out that goal would be greatly appreciated. We have Venmo, Cash App, PayPal, and then, of course, Super Chats. I'll read anything that you write within reason. And let me check real quick to make sure I got them all, and we'll keep going. I'll finish this video. However long it takes, I'll finish this video, but we'll be here.
Direct control over all law enforcement agencies, federalize the National Guard, and effectively create a national police force that absorbs local bodies.
I think that actually the support of the Democratic public is a cipher. I think that actually all you need is command of the police.
This is so that a centralized police state can be created to back the power grab, and I'd say there's no way this could happen if Donald Trump hadn't tried to do it before. We know that he sent the National Guard during the George Floyd protests.
And then I was insistent on having the National Guard go in and do their work. It was like a miracle. It just, everything stopped.
And we know that he wanted to invoke the Insurrection Act.
If your state refuses to take the actions that are necessary to defend the life and property of their residents, then I will deploy the United States military and quickly solve the problem for them.
Now, there are, of course...
I mean, that's just strongman shit, right? Like, if we can't democratically come to solutions, I'm just going to send in the police and I'm going to get what I want. And this is the part that, for you guys, that I don't understand. Well, I do understand. And I think it like goes back to your Christianity. You believe that what you believe is not only right, but that it should be forced upon other people. And so if you have an opinion, you believe it's okay to force that opinion on other people. That is what the right is. And it's everything that you accuse us of, which is crazy. It's not true, but it's the reason that you accuse us of that is so that you don't realize that that's what you're doing. When Donald Trump says, I don't like how cities are handling things, if they don't do what I say, I'm sending in the military, you guys celebrate it. Why? Because you agree with Donald Trump and you don't mind the use of force. You don't mind anti-democratic actions as long as those anti-democratic actions are being used to support what you like. And you can play whataboutism all you want, and all of you will, because you are just the most programmable, obvious bitches. Every one of you is going to say the same thing. But I would like to see one of you just take a second and think about that. If you're saying what about, then you're just admitting that I'm right. And you're admitting that you are the way that you are, and that you're just justifying it because other people are like that too. That's what whataboutism is. It's you saying I'm right. I am right. And every time you play what about, it's the same way the other way around. Every time you do that, that is an admission on your part that you're right. Or that I'm right. You're saying, yes, I want my views forced upon others. And you could probably say that about some people on the left too, but at least we're on the same page, that you're acknowledging that this is what you signed up for. Unfortunately, what you signed up for also is a legitimate plan for oligarchy. If you say that about the people on the left, that's fine, but show me the plan. Show me where we're signing up for an oligarchy, please. Show me the legislation that we're supporting that takes away the rights of people. Just please. Show me where we're forcing our beliefs on other people and taking away their rights in the process. I would love to see that. I don't think it exists. If it did, if there are instances, I'm likely to have been against it. I can't speak for everybody else, but myself, I'm likely to have been against it. I just want to be clear, though. Every Republican in this chat has now admitted that they believe that it's okay to force their ideology on others and to subvert democracy and push for a dictatorship just so that they get their way.
Protections within the law, posse comitatus, to stop a president from doing this, but Donald Trump has found a loophole before. I'm sure he'll find one again, especially in a state of emergency where he has absolute immunity for core official acts. Step 6. Shut down elite media.
One more thing on that. The courts ruled against him on his absolute immunity, and he said, fuck you, I'm doing it anyways. Just so we're clear on that. That was the part J.D. Vance said. J.D. Vance said, the Supreme Court has ruled, now let them enforce it. And that's what Trump said. Trump said, I heard what you said. Do something about it. I know about the checks and balances in this country. I know that when you guys rule, I'm supposed to follow, but fuck you. How about no? How about I just do whatever I want? And you guys are like, hell yeah, brother. Hell yeah, brother. Fuck the courts. Why do we even have a constitution? What the fuck's that thing doing there for? You used to be the party that when I was a Republican, we would read the Constitution at every meeting. There was a table that had constitutions every time. We made sure that everybody had a pocket constitution when I was a Republican. If you came to a Republican meeting, you left with a pocket constitution. We were obsessed with the Constitution. And now they're like, fuck that thing. I fucking hate that. I hate that. That gets in the way. These fucking judges telling Donald what to do? Who said they could tell Donald what to do?
Academic institutions. Yavin has explicitly said that you cannot have a New York Times or a Harvard past April. He has a popular theory that true power in America is held by something he calls the cathedral.
Zachary, we see your chats. Why do you guys all want to be victims all the time? If we can see your chat, you're not silenced, you dumb bitch.
A term that should alert you, whenever you hear it, to this kind of thing. The cathedral is made up of elite media and academic institutions that, according to Yavin, set the bounds of acceptable political discourse and distort reality to conform with their ideological beliefs.
So the cathedral is essentially performing the functions that a ministry of truth would perform in a classic Orwellian, environment, and it's performing the functions that a religion would in a classic theocracy.
Therefore, existing media and academic institutions need to be dismantled. Vance has been quite vocal about his disdain for academic institutions, despite graduating from Yale, and often repeats Yavin's ideas in his own words.
So much of what we want to do in this movement in this country, I think, are fundamentally dependent on going through a set of very hostile institutions, specifically the universities, which control the knowledge in our society, which control what we call truth and what we call falsity, that provides research that gives credibility to some of the most ridiculous ideas that exist in our country. And so I think if any of us want to do the thing...
So counter it. You guys tried. I mean, this is the thing that Republicans did. Like, you guys tried to counter it. You started your own universities. You started Liberty University. And you know what the accusation of Liberty University is now? It's too fucking woke. I grew up in Provo, Utah. There's a Brigham Young University run by the Mormon Church. The whole idea behind Brigham Young University is that you were going to have a university that told the truth. And they have divisions that are meant, like, as apologetic divisions that are meant to prove that the Bible is true and prove that the Book of Mormon is true. And you know what people say about that university now? It got too fucking woke. It's too woke. They're no longer willing to say that black people are black because of Cain and Abel. Because Cain killed his brother, and then his people were marked with a dark curse, and that's why people are black. They're no longer willing to say it. They got woke. They pussied out. How come all these universities that start as conservative universities wind up being too woke? It's because conservatism is holding on to old, outdated, unproven ideas. That's what conservatism is. Conserve. Keep things the same. If conservatism was running the world, you motherfuckers would be riding horses still. We wouldn't have roads, we wouldn't have cars, we wouldn't have airplanes, we wouldn't have any of this shit. Conservatism, now what they're trying to do is these people who are changing like the tech world, they're like, okay, we'll adapt in the tech world, but we still need to control the population. What they recognized is that the best way to control a population is by making them feel like they're under attack and you are there to save them. We've come a long way from Ronald Reagan's Republican Party. The Republican Party now is saying, the world is an evil place. Don't worry. I'm from the government and I'm here to help. Which Ronald Reagan said was the most dangerous thing you could hear. It's the last thing on earth you would want to hear. Somebody showing up saying, I'm from the government and I'm here to help. And now, not only are they saying I'm here to help, they're saying, get in line. We're fixing this. We're taking over. Trust us implicitly. Do not doubt what we say. When we talk about overthrowing the Constitution, trust us. We're here for you. And look, I'm JD Vance. I believe in Jesus too. Look, I'm Donald Trump. I believe in Jesus too. The Lord is at the helm, they said. They always fucking do this. All these people, how come all the like religious leaders in the world are fucking rich? How come they're all so goddamn rich? You have to give me money because I'm protecting you from the demons. Give me more control. Listen to what I say. Don't doubt your doubts before you doubt your faith. Do not doubt your faith. Doubt your doubts. That's what it was. Doubt your doubts, not your faith. Listen to me. Buy into this. That's why when Trump says, I'll give you the answer in 2 weeks, you guys are like, cool. That's why when they say, don't worry, we're going to tell you in the future, you're like, fuck yeah, I can't wait for that. I can't wait for them to tell us in the future. I'm going to vote for this motherfucker. They're going to tell us what's going on later. We're gonna drain the swamp. We're gonna expose the deep state. Who's the deep state? Who is it? Where's the trials? Where's the arrests? Where's the oh, they've exposed it though. You guys just aren't watching. Well, why don't they arrest him? Why don't they charge him with anything? Who's running the fucking deep state at this point? Trump was supposed to be on that day one. It's almost like there's not a deep state. It's almost like they're just keeping you focused over here while they take power and you don't know. It's like, what is that slipping in my asshole right now? I don't know. I better not look. I'm just going to look straight ahead while they just fuck me in the ass. I don't know. It's probably the deep state back there. I'm not going to turn around and see JD Vance. Poor couch.
Things that we want to do for our country and for the people who live in it, we have to honestly and aggressively attack the universities in this country.
Trump has said that if elected, he will reclaim the universities from the Marxist maniacs and lunatics who currently control them. How will he do this?
When I return to the White House, I will fire the radical left accreditors that have allowed our colleges to become dominated by Marxist maniacs and lunatics. We will then accept applications for new accreditors who will impose real standards on colleges.
In his agenda for...
What real standards are they imposing? Out of curiosity, this administration, what standards are they imposing? You can't criticize the state of Israel. That's it. What other standards are you guys imposing now? All that talk, we're gonna fuck these guys up. If you get into office, what are you doing? How are you gonna do this? Well, we you know what we're not gonna do? We're not gonna let them criticize Israel. What else are you gonna do? Nothing. That's it. We're just gonna tell them they can't criticize Israel. That's what we're doing now. Because there's nothing. You have nothing on these colleges. What are you gonna do? Tell them to stop doing science? How dare you guys do science? What do you make them teach the Bible? Yeah, that's gonna work. I just want you guys to know I am a college professor, and it's totally possible that there was a worldwide flood in the last 6,000 years, and all the animals fit on one boat, and that's real. And don't question it, please, because it was just a really big fucking boat. What do you want them to do? You want them to lie, like continue your lie? They're not going to do that. They're not going to teach your bullshit religion. So what you do instead? You took all this power, and the only thing you did with it. He's like, don't talk about Israel. You don't do that. We don't like that. Don't you say bad things about Israel. You guys happy with that? That's what you got out of this, by the way. Meanwhile, you're focused on it, and they're just like, hey, Elon, you want the government? He's like, yeah, I'll take the government. All right, here's the government. You're running it now. Okay, thank you. Palantir, you want to have access to everybody's data and watch everything they do at every moment? Yeah, we do. And we have a lot of that already. And the government's like, well, whatever you don't have, feel free. Come on in. Take whatever you want. Do whatever you want with that. That's called leverage. The government just handed leverage to Alex fucking Karp, to Peter Thiel, to Curtis Yarv. They're like, hey, do you want leverage on all of us? Do you want blackmail on every American? Great. Here you go. What if you guys talk? What if you speak out against the government? You don't think your search history might pop up at some point? What if you committed a crime with your friends when you were younger and never got caught? You don't think that might come up? What if you're one of these good Christian folks that happen to be cheating on your wife right now? You don't think they'll use that to manipulate you to come along with them? Hey, you know what? You could shut the fuck up, or we could just tell everybody how you're cheating on your wife, and you're like, oh, I don't want that. I'll just shut the fuck up. This is just all leverage. This is giving private businesses leverages to blackmail every fucking one of us, and they already kind of had it, but now they're going to have like the full authority to do it. You don't think Trump's going to use that? Sometimes do you ever wonder why some of these people suddenly change their position, and when they explain why they changed their position, you're like, what? How did that change your position? Could be blackmail. Jerry Falwell Jr. wasn't a fan of Trump. Then all of a sudden, Trump got word that he was in an open relationship with the pool boy, and he sat in the chair and watched his wife get pounded by the pool boy, which is fine. We don't kink shame here. If you're a cuck, you're welcome to be here. Just admit it, please. We're pro cuck here as long as you guys admit it, but don't pretend that you're not cucks. And then suddenly Jerry Falwell's like, you know what I was thinking? I've changed my mind. I used to think Trump was a piece of shit, but instead, now I'm pretty sure that this is the only thing that's important to God is that Donald Trump wins. In fact, God told me Donald Trump has to win. He's got to get there. And all of a sudden, Jerry Falwell's on board. They just want leverage, guys. They want to control everything that you do so that they have all the power. And even if you wind up with like a government that still like exists on paper, if they run everything and they have leverage over everybody, who fucking cares? I mean, Russia has free elections, right? How's that working in Russia? Hey, this guy's polling at 40%. He might have a shot to beat Vladimir Putin. Oh, he's dead now? Ah, fuck. Oh, damn, what happened? Oh, this guy has a chance to beat Vladimir Putin. Oh, what's that? There's a sex tape? Him and his aunt? That's crazy. All right, well, I guess he can't do it now. Yeah, what about Lindsey Graham? Weird, right? Lindsey Graham's like, I gotta talk to you Trump supporters. I don't know what you see in this man. He is a racist, xenophobic, bigot. Like a week later, he's like, I fucking love this guy. And then the stories come out later like, yeah, he's deeply closeted. But he doesn't want that to get out. Isn't that weird? How'd that change? And when you ask him, he's like, oh, well, I met with him, and I figured out that all those xenophobic, bigoted things he said, it was just all a misunderstanding. He didn't really mean it. Now that I've met him, I know that he's actually a good guy. And now I'm just here to like lick his taint.
47, Trump has proposed a law to monitor universities for civil rights violations.
I will advance a measure to have them fined up to the entire amount of their endowment.
That means he could essentially put an institution like Harvard out of business overnight. Elon Musk spends a significant portion of his time trying to undermine existing
Chamberlain says, cold, so you're saying Trump is stupid? He loves the poorly educated.
Media in favor of his own platform X. Oops. Trump has absolutely no problem getting rid of legacy media. He has repeatedly talked about the government's licensing of broadcast airwaves and about 15 times threatened to revoke licenses of existing stations.
And it's frankly disgusting the way the press is able to write whatever they want to write. And people should look into it.
Step 7, turn out your people. Get your people out in the street to show their support for you anytime a government agency tries
Just credit me with the name, Rich. Just credit me with that, please.
Obstruct you. Yavin says this should be like the post-Soviet revolutions. It should be masses of people. It should be joyful. And we know that Donald Trump has no problem in asking people to physically show their support for him.
We're going to walk down to the Capitol.
Capitol!
Because you'll never take back our country with weakness. You have to show strength.
Once this butterfly revolution has taken place and the presidency looks more like a CEO or a king, the court of tech geniuses will have a much more realistic shot at getting what they want. One thing I can tell you about these Silicon Valley tech bros is that they are long-term thinkers. They are planning for years and years and years into the future. In case you needed more evidence that Silicon Valley and Project 2025 are in bed together, there is this strange tech conference called Reboot. And
Before I get to that, I just want to say this, and it is frustrating to me, but I do think it's worth talking about. The only people that are not concerned about this are MAGA. In fact, formerly, like historically pro-MAGA movements like the Red Pill incel boys, the neo-schmazis, the Nick Fuentes crowd, who I don't know what his imprint is, but like millions of people probably is his imprint. They're all saying the same shit we are. The folks over across the pond, they're saying the same shit we are. People who aren't loyal to Donald Trump, just like regular Republicans who, you know, they're iffy on Donald Trump, they're saying this shit too. Everybody sees this except for you. And the thing that sucks is that we need you, and we need you badly. We need you guys to wake the fuck up soon, because the only way to stop this is you. Nobody gives a fuck what we say. Nobody cares that when we point this out. It will literally take you guys which is crazy. Like, you lived your whole life without Donald Trump. Do you really need your whole world to revolve around him? Ask yourself the question, is it really that important for you for Donald Trump to be president? Is it important for J.D. Vance to be president? What policy differences, like what if Rand Paul was president? What if Nikki Haley was president? What difference would you see? Would your life get significantly worse, Republicans? No, less people would hate you, probably. You wouldn't have to defend bigotry every fucking day. You wouldn't have to show up every day and be like, oh, no, I didn't mean it. He didn't mean it like that. I don't like what he says. I don't like the way he says things. I don't like the way he treats people. I just like his policies. Then why don't you just vote for somebody with the same fucking policies who doesn't treat people that way? Why vote for the most openly corrupt person in the history of our country? Why vote for somebody, and why continue to support somebody who's just taking bribes right and left and doing nothing for you? Is it a pride thing at this point? Is it just you just don't want to admit that you're wrong? I think this guy's too young to live through the Bush years. No, I lived through the Bush years. I just mentioned the Bush years. What Donald Trump is doing is exactly what Dick Cheney did, except for more openly corrupt. He's not even hiding it. And he's collecting way more money than Dick Cheney did. I lived through him. I was in high school on September 11th. I remember that day. I remember the Bush years vividly. I remember that saved his presidency. I was a Republican at the time. I was a big. In fact, one of the most difficult things for me is that I look back at the Bush presidency and I hate so many things that they did. But like George Bush, the person, was likable to me, and George Bush, the person, now is still likable to me. That's kind of like a tricky thing to balance. That like George Bush, my neighbor, if he was my neighbor, I'd fucking love that guy. But then like he did go kill a lot of innocent people. I don't love that. Not a big fan of him letting his vice president just like trick him into war and murdering a bunch of innocent people so his vice president's buddies could get rich. It's a tricky thing for me. There's a lot of Republicans I like, honestly. Like, most of my friends are Republicans. And I can tell you that my friends who are Republicans, they're not MAGA. MAGA wouldn't be friends with me. But the Republicans, like, I voted for Donald Trump. I support his policies. Those Republicans, we're friends. And all of them agree with what we're saying here. We just need the MAGA group to wake the fuck up and just look at what's happening. How is it possible that we have a record of all of these people saying this is what we're going to do? We're going to end democracy. We're going to take over the government. This is how we're going to do it. And then step by step, again, this video was 6 months ago. This video you're watching was made 6 months ago. She's predicting all of it. And it's not that she's even predicting it. She's just telling you what they said they were going to do. And then they do it. And you guys are still here like, no, they're not doing it. They're not. I know they said they were going to do it, and I know they're doing it, but they're not doing it. That's where we're at this point of the video now. Everybody knows that they planned it. Everybody knows they said they were going to do it. Everybody knows they're doing it. And you guys are at the point now of saying either they're not doing it or I don't care that they're doing it. And I think you guys are very nearsighted, just like all of us were when we were like, yeah, we'll put a boot in their ass. It's the American way. And we're like, oh, fuck them up. And we all were so excited. We were so excited to go to war. We were so excited to get back at the people who took down the Twin Towers. Bush had like a 90% approval rate. The whole country was united. It's the last time in my life that the country was united, and we were united around like, fuck them up. And then we all just stopped paying attention when they didn't go and fuck up Osama bin Laden. They just like fucked up a bunch of other countries, and it took 20 years before we got Osama bin Laden. And between that time and when we got Osama bin Laden, we killed a whole bunch of people. And then after we killed Osama bin Laden, like we just kept killing people. And not enough of us stood up and were like, hey, bro, like I thought we were just going after bin Laden. Why are we in Iraq again? Can somebody explain what's going on in Iraq? Why are we in Afghanistan? We spent all this, and then we found Osama bin Laden in Pakistan. And then after we killed him, we're like, well, we did find him in Pakistan, so we might as well stay in Afghanistan and fuck shit up for another 10 years. Like he wasn't even there. We didn't find him in Afghanistan. He was gone. And for most of the time, we knew he wasn't in Afghanistan. We knew that he was somewhere in Pakistan for years, and we're just like, yeah, we know he's in Pakistan, but why don't we just keep fighting in Afghanistan real quick? Let's go do some more missions in Afghanistan. And this is the problem. Like we take a side, and in this case, our side was America, and we just start viewing it from this lens of like everything we do is justified, and then we justify like the wholesale killing of millions of innocent people. It's probably millions, right? I don't know what the total number is from the Iraq and Afghanistan war. It's got to be millions, right? Sorry if that number is exaggerated. And I think that's where we're at right now, too. Like, we just picked a side, and you're like, fuck, I'm too deep. I'm in too deep now. Let's just see it through. I have friends like that are still in the cult that I grew up, that, like, they don't even believe it anymore, but they're, like, 70 years old. And I'm like, why don't you just leave? Why don't you just stop being part of it? And they're like, well, I've invested my whole life in this. At this point, like, even though I don't believe it, I feel like I've spent my whole life doing it. I would feel like my life was wasted, so I'm just going to stay in it until I die, and hopefully it's right. And I don't care that I'm going to waste the last 10, 15, 20 years of my life in a church that I don't believe and pretending I believe some shit that I don't believe. Like, it's the sunk cost fallacy. And I think that's where a lot of you guys are with MAGA. I think you've just Trump turned it into a war. We were never this divided. We weren't this divided with Bush and McCain. Bush and McCain, excuse me, Obama and McCain. We weren't that divided with Romney and McCain. I worked on the Romney campaign. I was door to door. I was boots on the ground. Oof, I don't like saying that. Sound like Mr. Jones. But I was in Iowa. We were knocking doors. It wasn't like this. It wasn't like if I knocked on the door in a Romney shirt, somebody come out and be like, "Fuck you, you fucking fascist." And that's not because, like, what changed? Trump changed. You guys chose a fascist. And then you've spent all this time pretending it wasn't a fascist. And now that he's doing fascism, you're just like, fuck it, I guess we're doing fascism. I'd hate to believe that I spent the last 10 years being wrong, so I'm in. I'm all in. I'm all in on this. What were the war stats? Iraq and Afghanistan, 4.7 million. Jesus. 4.7 million Iraq and Afghani deaths, 7,000 America. Jesus, yeah. And we just, for what? Why? Why did those people need to die? Osama bin Laden took down the World Trade Center with funding from the Saudis. And now we're doing business deals with the Saudis. Now they're just giving Trump money. They're just like, here you go, dude. Hey, why don't we forget about all that? He's like, yeah, as long as you give me enough money, I'll just forget about all that shit. 4.7 million people died. And now the people who funded it are just like, here you go, Trump. We're in business together now. And you guys we just forget about it. This is what privilege is. Like, this is American privilege. We went from a startup country. We were proud of our heritage. Like, We fought for our independence. We created our own thing. We had a constitution. We're like, we are free. And then slowly but surely, powerful people are like, I don't really know about all this freedom. And they've just slowly taken your freedom away. And now we're this like kind of pathetic country where like we're literally just like in an oligarchy financially. Like our markets are an oligarchy. We're all owned by the oligarch class. And the one like last line of defense between us and the oligarch class was the government, which was largely inefficient. And now they're just like, fuck it, you can have the government too. And you guys are like, oh, you guys didn't say this. You didn't say this when Biden was in office. Yeah, because like there was still like that last line of defense. And we were aware of what it was. We were aware of our rigged economy, but it wasn't like Biden was like, hey, all you oligarchs, why don't you just run the government now? There was a little bit of a line left. And now we're undoing the line, and because you've sold out to Trump, you're just like, yeah, fuck it. What's the worst that could happen? Russia's the worst that could happen. China's the worst that could happen. Cuba's the worst that could happen. Argentina's the worst that could happen. El Salvador's the worst that could happen. Venezuela's the worst that could happen. Turkey's the worst that could happen. All these countries with authoritarian dictators, that's the worst that could happen. Show me the authoritarian country you want to live in. It's not a great deal unless you're a rich person. And I'm just going to guess if you're in here, you're probably not one of the 1% of the rich that are controlling everything. Let me catch comments one more time. Let's see. Michael said, when they lost me, you know it's... Yeah, Tex said, when you've lost me, you know it's bad. For all you fucks in here, like Tex was a card-carrying Nazi. I don't know where you're at now, but Tex was like a card-carrying Nazi, and Trump's lost him. Jamar says, pocket constitution, what about a pocket pussy? Oh, wait, that was in my sex addict meeting. I'll finish this off. I don't know if I've updated that to the 10. I have no idea if that gift goal's right. I think it's right. Let me add here. We got a few more. Look, there's 656 here. We could dollar train that gift goal away, or if you guys just want me to take a beating from Jen, that's fine too. I totally understand that.
September, at the last Reboot conference, which is all about creating a new reality, there was a special secret guest speaker. That secret guest speaker ended up being Kevin Roberts, who gave a speech titled Tech and the American Republic. The point of trying to put Vance in the VP position wasn't just to have him one heartbeat away from an old and ailing president. It was to introduce him to the world as the new blueprint of the Republican Party, to provide a strong option for a post-MAGA Republican Party, a party that will co-opt the government to destroy the country in order to allow self-described great men to install themselves as mini kings.
I would highly recommend this video. Again, this is Dark Gothic MAGA, how tech billionaires plan to destroy America from, this is Blonde Politics, the Silly Serious. It's incredible stuff. Honestly, like that took 2.3 million. Is that her only video? Oh, she has some other ones. Okay. Huh. 2.3 million. It's great stuff. That's incredible. That's incredible that 6 months later, like, it's one thing if you predicted that like Trump would act like an authoritarian. It's another thing entirely to tell everybody in your audience, here's exactly what their plan is, and then 6 months later, the plan played out. I want to cover just a couple more things here. I want to get to RFK because I want to show. I think every chance we have to talk about RFK, we should. RFK went on to CNN, cue the CNN fake news. And they're not putting up with this shit anymore. And the reason people aren't putting up with RFK's shit anymore is because RFK did this thing where he's like, hey, I'm going to come in and I'm going to only use good science. And I'm going to make sure that the science that I push out there is good science. And all he's done so far is push pseudoscience and take established science and throw it out the window and tell the American people you're on your own. And CNN's had enough. This is, what's her name again? I forget what her name is. Is it Casey or Cassie Hunt? Casey? Might be Casey.
You have gained notoriety for your skepticism about vaccines. And over the summer in an interview, you said, quote, "There's no vaccine that is, safe and effective." Do you still believe that?
I never said that.
So
Thanks,
stop
Denise.
me. We have the clip. Please play the clip.
I just talked about
This is how you handle RFK. You ask him the question. As soon as he denies it, you stop him and say, "We're rolling the clip."
that the media slanders you by calling you an anti-vaxxer. And you've said that you're not anti-vaccine, you're
Thanks, Natalie.
pro-safe
Thanks,
vaccine.
Jackie.
Difficult question. Can you name any vaccines that you think are good?
I think some of the live virus vaccines are probably averting more problems than they're causing.
Saving me from a beating. Thanks, so
There's no vaccine that is, safe and effective. What I'm saying is that none of the 72 vaccines has ever been tested in a safety study pre-licensing.
So let me ask you.
This is such a fucking crazy thing for him to say, and it's a big fucking lie. He says there's no such thing as a safe vaccine. And then his explanation for that is, no, none of these were totally tested before they were licensed. Well, yeah, but they've been tested now. Like, you have millions and millions and millions and millions of people who have been vaccinated, and that is your case study now. He's just lying. He's not saying that they weren't tested pre-licensing. He's specifically saying, do not vaccinate your children. These aren't safe. He doesn't vaccinate his. I don't think he's told his grandchildren not to be vaccinated. I don't know why it is that you guys allow these folks to lie to you every day when it's obvious that they're lying. And again, when they lie on TV like this because you like RFK, it doesn't bother you that he lies. And that uncomfortable feeling you just got right now where it was clear that he lied, instead of internalizing that and being like, maybe I shouldn't trust RFK, you're going to be mad at me and you're going to be mad at her. This is how cults work. When somebody points out that you're lying, you get that feeling, that pit in your stomach, fuck you guys. You guys are the real fucking problem. Let's talk about the lies that you've told. And you'll just try and deflect. But this is the cult mentality, where that's why there are so many lying grifters in this administration, because being a lying grifter is better for you. If you're somebody who's transparent and honest in this administration, you're going to have to admit to some things. And MAGA can't handle that. They cannot handle somebody admitting that they're wrong, because the president doesn't ever admit he's wrong. That's what MAGA is now. We're right no matter what. If you show me data that's counter, you are a Marxist-Leninist traitor to our country.
If you think
Thanks,
it's wise
Lisa.
for people to take these
The no bruise
vaccines,
fund.
because you had this to say on a different podcast about whether people with young babies should be getting them shots. Watch.
For many, many years, I think parents were so gaslighted and they were scapegoated and they were vilified and marginalized, so that even parents of kids who were very, very badly injured knew what happened to their kid, but they were just reluctant to talk about it. And I think now those days are over. Our job is to resist and to talk about it to everybody. If you're walking down the street, and I do this now myself, which is, I don't want to do, I'm not a busybody. I see somebody on a hiking trail carrying a little baby, and I say to them, better not get them vaccinated.
What a fuck, that's a psycho person. That's a fucking crazy person. Can you imagine if you're on a hike just with your kid? You got your kid on your shoulders, you walk by, you're like, hey, and they're like, don't vaccinate that motherfucker. You're, what? That guy just tell me not to vaccinate my child? What a psycho. That is psycho behavior. Our job is to resist. Resist what? Do you see how it's all this language that they use as if you're under attack. And this is why you guys feel like you're under attack. That's a crazy fucking thing to say. Every bit of scientific data says that you are safe being vaccinated, and you have the right and the choice to not be vaccinated. We're not talking about the freedom of whether or not you should be vaccinated or not. We're talking about whether or not you accept science or not. And then this same guy is like, we're going to do gold standard science in the White House now. This government, we're only using gold standard science. And then immediately releases a report that was AI generated that credited people or credited studies that do not exist. Like, we got our information from this study. This study doesn't exist. Fuck. My bad. I guess that's the gold standard science we were talking about.
And you hear that from me if he hears it from 10 other people, maybe he won't do it. Maybe he will save that child.
Maybe he will save that child. You think preventing vaccines for a child will save that child? Do you still say this to parents today?
What I say again is I had 3 vaccines, Casey, when I was a kid, and I was fully compliant.
Yeah, look at you, bro. I'm just saying, I'm not saying any of these are vaccine related, but look at you and your whole fucking family. You guys were elite rich folks, and you have been riddled with conditions. The whole Kennedy family. This guy talks like a frog. And yeah, he's in good shape because he takes testosterone and he works out, which anybody else could do. But like, bro, when you were a kid, there were 3 and people's life expectancy was lower. People died from diseases more often when you were a kid. People are living longer now. This is what's crazyville about this. This is just conservative, lazy science. Well, when I was a kid, there were less, so when I was a kid, it was better. What? In what world? In the 1700s, there were no vaccines. We should just go back to that. Yeah, fuck it. Bring them all back. Bring back malaria, bring back measles, bring back rubella, mumps. What else do you get vaccinated for? Bring back everything. A tetanus shot? Fuck that, dude. You're not getting a tetanus shot. In fact, no medicine. Let's just go back to meditation and prayer to make sure all maladies go away.
My kids got 72. The current recommendations are, I think, around 77. And
I have a vaccine record for my child, and there are not 77
there are 77 doses. There are 72 doses of 16 vaccines. Oh, that's just a fact.
Yeah, doesn't mean anything. That's the guy that's making decisions for us medically there. He's a liar. He doesn't believe in science. He gets caught promoting pseudoscience all the time. And every time you point it out, the people who love him, the MAGA people, are like, we actually like him more now. That you're just conditioned to be lied to. Let me read some comments and we'll finish up. We did take care of the gift goal. I appreciate you guys. Benny said some people are predisposed to just support authoritarians. See the Milgram experiment. Scary stuff. Benny, will you send that to me on Discord? I don't know what you're talking about. Barbara said, Jay, I watch you every day, but I'm always watching the replay because of work. Love your humanity and intelligence, and great job on Jubilee. Thank you very much, Barbara. Alyssa, thank you for joining the Dollar Train. Isaac said from Agent Twit on YouTube, covering the gift goal. You guys have an amazing show. Jay, a tongue twister for you. Say it 5 times fast. Irish wristwatch. Irish wristwatch. Irish wrist. Fuck. That's devastating. Irish wristwatch. Irish wristwatch. I can't do it. I literally can't do that. That sucks. Rebecca, thank you for joining the Dollar Train. I think I got all of those. Let me see. I just heard a yippee, so I don't know if something came through there. Lenora said, I feel like this is a never-ending nightmare. Yeah, we just got to get MAGA on board with us, and then it won't be such a nightmare. If they just look, I'm cool with having Republicans and Democrats again, but we don't have that anymore. We have MAGA, and then like the rest of the world. Literally, the entire world sees MAGA for what they are, and for whatever reason, that solidifies their position as MAGA. That makes them want to be more MAGA. Anyways, tomorrow, just as a reminder, as of right now, I don't plan on being here tomorrow. I plan on being at a court case, an attempted murder trial for a crazy scumbag piece of shit human being named Lori Vallow, who tried to kill my friend. And I intend on being there. She's faking sick and trying to get a new judge, so there's a chance that that trial will get moved again. I was supposed to be gone on Monday. Now it's looking like Wednesday, so I'll keep you guys updated. If I show up, I show up, but likely I will not be here tomorrow. However, Jen, are we with Admir tonight? Have you checked on that?
Yeah, and he gave me his passwords, so I'm going to go live with my Wi-Fi.
Okay. Oh, hot damn.
And he'll join as a guest on an alt account.
All right. So we will be live on, do you want to just, oh yeah, on your Wi-Fi. Okay. So Jen's really in control now. That's devastating for everybody.
I mean, I could give it to you if you want to do it.
Don't do that.
Or
don't do that.
Okay.
Right. 5:45 Pacific.
That's the plan.
Okay. For anybody that's in this chat, if you have TikTok, if you want to debate, you can come by Admir's Live on TikTok. You can just follow me on TikTok. You'll find me. I'll be there from 5:45 till like usually 9:30 p.m. over on TikTok, and we'll stream it here on YouTube and Twitch as well. Other than that, just a reminder, if you missed any of the show today, you can watch the replay on YouTube, but you can also watch and listen to the replay on Spotify. That should be up within the next hour or so from when we finish. So if you head over to Spotify, it's RTPTalks over there. Every episode will be available on Spotify in both audio and video format. So if you don't have YouTube Premium and you hate listening to the replay, having to keep your phone open, just go to Spotify. You can get the replay there, and you don't have to keep your phone open. So that's a pretty cool thing. And then if you could share it with your friends. I know a lot more people have Spotify that don't use YouTube. So send it out to them if you could. I appreciate it. Got a couple of reviews. I appreciate anybody leaving a review there as well. That would be terrific. Von Sweet, thank you. Said great show today. Good. I love deep dives. We do too. All right. Other than that, you can find us on TikTok, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Twitch. And we also have merch in our bio, as well as Cameo, if you'd like me to do a Cameo. I've done one. I enjoy doing it, and I do try and make them really personal. And I do try and make them at least a little bit funny. So if you want me to do a Cameo, that's in there as well. Other than that, mods, thank you. Excellent job today. Everybody in the chat, could you give W mods, YouTube mods in the chat? They went through hell today trying to keep the crypto scams out of here. That was a nightmare. We got the best mods in the business. Thanks, Jen, and the mod team for all of that. I'll see you guys tomorrow, or I'll see you tonight. If I don't, or not tomorrow, I'll see you tonight and then Thursday. If I don't see you until Thursday, I'm going to be devastated, but I'll understand. Take care of yourselves. Stay cute and cool, and have a great, great, great summer.